Have you ever watched two characters on your favorite show and thought, is this ever going to happen?
The answer isn't always down to the writer's room or the showrunner, but the purview of the suits in the boardroom.
Today, we're breaking down how network TV works, starting with an overview of the basics and using the fanship of Buck and Eddie from 911 as our case study on the art of the will they, won't they.
We'll cover why the move from Fox to ABC matters, what it means for future queer representation, and why the art of the slow burn is a network staple, not a queer baiting glitch.
If this is your first time with the Buddy system, welcome. I'm Sil.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Han, and this is our friend Alexa.
We're a group of friends who are overly obsessed with television, who have had this conversation in private so many times, we finally decided to turn it into a proper episode.
So get comfy because we're about to explain why it's monumental that 911 made a previously straight perceived character come out as bisexual in season 7, their first season on ABC.
Especially because we know, thanks to Chaos Junkie Oliver Stark, that it was shut down from above, aka the network, back in season 4 on Fox.
Looking for a full rundown of 911's network history with a look to the future? We've got you covered.
So we have had Alexa on a couple of our reactions, but this is her first appearance on an actual episode. So everyone say, welcome, Alexa.
Welcome, Alexa.
Welcome, Alexa.
We're so happy she's here with us. This is largely her baby. We've talked about this a bunch with her, and I think in one of our post-episode live streams, we got into this a little bit, and she pitched the idea to us. She was like, we should talk about this, and we were like,
hyperfixate together.
Yeah, you were like, you're absolutely right.
And we were like, say less, actually.
Yes, exactly. Alexa, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are, and just very briefly how you got into 911, because this is 911 focused, even though it's about network TV.
And it is my entire life right now, so that's fitting.
Wow, same.
Can't relate.
It's almost like we get along really well for some reason. Intense focus on a single subject. What? My name is Alexa Donne. I am a 2-time Edgar Award nominated author of young adult thrillers with Penguin Random House, including The Ivies, Pretty Dead Queens, and The Bitter End. Though that's my former identity, this all connects to 911. I got sucked into 911 like a disease in October of 2024. I watched 8 seasons in less than 3 weeks, and it would have been less, but I had a business trip in there. If it weren't for the business trip, I think I could have done it in 2.
It just threw a wrench in the whole thing.
Became immediately obsessed, fell headfirst into fandom, podcasts, et cetera, and became so obviously it's a procedural and there's thriller elements, so that definitely appeals to me as someone who adores murder and whatnot. I love killing people on the page, but the buddy of it all. Now I am writing adult romance. So I am possibly by the time this airs, maybe I'll have a book deal, but I am trying to go to sell adult romance because I'm fully buddy romance pill brain. So that's my new direction. I'll get back to murder, but right now it's all kissing. So that's kind of where I exist in the author space. And my day job, I live in Los Angeles, California. I've lived here for 15 years and I work in the television industry. I call it the non-sexy side, but that is how one does the writer hustle. I have my non-sexy stable day job in television because I love television that pays all my bills and gives me health insurance and a 401k. And then I have I write on the side, but it's 2 full-time jobs. I am also an erstwhile YouTuber. Technically, the channel still exists and I'm making an effort to stream to it. But I was one of the first AuthorTube channels is what it's called. And it's a resource for writing and publishing. I have over 500 videos.
Yeah.
But it feels like a past version of me because I haven't done that for a few years. If I were still making YouTube, I wouldn't be able to hyperfixate on 911 and make it my entire identity. So that's one of the things I've made space for in my life instead of being a YouTuber.
That's fair.
Because I don't really want to be an influencer. So I like things a lot and I like to share information. And I should say my day job is on the the non-sexy side of TV distribution. And specifically, I know a lot about global distribution. I know a lot about cable and cord cutting, which we're going to talk a bit about. So I don't work on the fun, creative production side. I think if I did, it would probably, much like writing, once you know how the sausage is made, it can ruin things. Though I also love knowing how the sausage is made. So what am I talking about? That's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. A little bit, yeah.
And just like general qualifications as a human, I'm obsessed with television. I was that kid who defied adults who said, you can't watch too much TV. It's going to rot your brain. No, I watched 6 to 8 hours of TV every single day while being a straight A student. It's a superpower. Yeah. Obsessed with TV. Did not grow up with cable. So network is my bread and butter. Name a TV show. I watched it. My first fandom was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like I got in real deep. You know, some of my formative memories are like about Buffy specifically, which relates to 911 because Tim Minear. Yeah. I was grounded the night Buffy premiered. I don't remember why, but my mother didn't understand how the VCR worked. I recorded it so I could watch it anyway. I was such a rebel.
Wow, a rebel.
Thank goodness.
I love that so bad. So I will always remember that of Buffy, and it became my whole life. It was like it's what turned me into a fanish person. Like my mother was not a genre person, a science fiction fantasy person, and it was like mind blown kind of origin story moment for me.
She fits right in. If it's your first time with us, there's whole episodes you can watch to get to know me, Scylla, and Rachel. But if you don't want to watch those, just TLDR, we love television, specifically 911. We're fandom elders, and we've been watching TV a long time. So those are our credentials. Art degree, English degree, media communications degree, lots of time in watching television and in fandom spaces for network television. So just a brief overview of like how we're going to like break down like and go through this. We're going to like kind of just do a basic run through of like how network television works, like just give you some basic definitions. Then we're going to like go through like a brief history of like the Fox to ABC move, Fox versus ABC and why that move matters. Long running shows and like story arc timing within them, the art of the will they won't they, fandom expectations versus industry reality, what network television does well and why it isn't streaming. They're very different. And then some future possibilities where we kind of look at like what could happen with 911 in kind of an analytical way after we talk about all of this, not so much speculative, just like if they did this thing, what would it mean? So hope you guys are excited because we've got a lot to get into.
Yeah, so basically this is going to be a conversation framed around network TV storytelling, the network politics and network branding, kind of to pull back the curtain a little bit on some of, I think, like the misconceptions about network TV, especially since so much of, I think, fandom specifically's exposure to TV is through streaming. So we kind of just want to like look at like the history of things and apply it to now and why 911 specifically is like a remarkable case.
Yeah. And just specifically because like if you're entering a fandom or starting to watch a show that is a network television show, doesn't necessarily mean that you've watched another one or gotten into the fandom of another one. And you probably binged all of that show on streaming before you came to start watching it weekly. So if you're on the younger side and you didn't grow up watching stuff on network television or join a fandom of a long-running network television show, you probably might not know any of this stuff. And that's okay because we're going to hold your hand and walk you through it.
We're here for you. We're elders. Television and fandom elders.
Yes.
Who have been through the horrors.
Yes.
Lots of horrors.
That's how we know this is not the horrors, guys. This is amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so before we dive deep into the nitty gritty, here are some things you need to know.
So Fox and ABC are two of what are called the big four broadcast television networks. These are free-to-air terrestrial channels. It's like technology-wise, that's usually how things are defined in TV, although I will not get into the full weeds of cable television and broadcast. Essentially, you can buy an antenna and stick it near your TV, and you will be able to receive these channels for free. Though, of course, many people watch these
from
through cable subscriptions, right? From a satellite. Exactly. Well, technically, it used to be radio airways.
Now
put on my old-timey hat. So the technology has changed, but that's the idea of the origin of these channels. channels that were broadcast to the entire nation that you can pull from a signal onto your TV for free, whose primary underpinning is advertising. That is how these broadcast networks make money. And of course, the name of the game is the more people watch your show, the more people watch the advertisements for your show. And that is how your favorite TV show gets made. Secondary to this, you might be familiar with it. This comes up on streaming too, would be product placement. It's all sponsorship. It's all advertising, capitalism, money.
Yes, especially for anyone who's listening or watching this who isn't American.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's different. Yeah, it definitely works differently in other countries. So.
They're always like, why do you guys have so many commercials? This is why.
This is why. Especially on shows that air, especially shows that air on network television. This is how it works.
So they can pay their bills.
Exactly. So broadcast television reaches a broad American audience. And the key, because like we said, it's free. It can be free. And the key, it's the most accessible way for people to watch television because you can do it for free. It's actually included in every other way that you could watch television, those channels as well.
Yeah, it's like the base model.
Yes, exactly. So the key is to like keep that general audience, that big, broad general audience tuned in the highest numbers possible for as long as possible so they will watch the ads. Because again, it all comes back to advertising because it comes back to money because the people who are running the networks want the money. That's what it's about.
Yeah, yes. It's an ROI, return on investment.
Exactly.
They're spending money to make the shows, so they want money to keep those shows going.
Correct.
And so ABC is one of those original big three. So the big threes, it was ABC, NBC, and CBS. So those were the big three, and they have almost an 80-year history. Fox is kind of the newcomer that makes up the big four now. So it's only about 40 years old, and it was started in the 80s.
It's basically my age. Aging myself. It's fine. I mean, I literally grew
I just said
Fox
is the youngest one. So
I'm a spring chicken in TV years. So.
Yeah,
but I'm not as young as the CW.
No, the CW is a perpetual teenager. So
a teenager who's actually 26 25. Years old.
So another key thing to understand is the production side of things versus television distribution and essentially licensing. So the studio that makes the show is not always aligned with the network that airs a show, even though several of the major networks also have studios. So CBS has Viacom, NBC has Universal Television and Universal Pictures, ABC has ABC Studios, and Fox has 20th Century Fox, but there are other studios such as Warner Brothers and Sony. So the major networks also are purchasing and distributing TV from studios like Sony or Warner Brothers. It's not always the case that ABC Studios makes the show and that show airs on ABC. You'd be surprised sometimes that you associate a show with Fox or ABC, but it's actually made by technically a competitor. But in terms of the corporate structure, those things are separate. So the studio that makes it, the production side, is separate from network. The network who buys a show and agrees to air it has a lot of power and ultimate say in what makes it to air. Once they're working with a production company, there's multiple cooks in that kitchen determining what the show is. And it does, to a degree, have to fit the brand and the identity and the purview of the network who is buying it.
That's why they buy it, because it will fit with their audience.
Things are run up the chain from production through to the showrunner, up to network, and then sometimes down from network to showrunner to production. Things that they can or can't do, can't say on TV, storylines, etc., with a mind to the audience and to ratings and advertisers.
Standards and practices.
Oh, standards and practices. I love to see what they don't catch. I am forever tickled by the ring cutter joke that made it to air.
Oh, yeah.
It is one of my favorite things that has ever happened.
I mean, just 907. Like
907 was
in
crazy.
its entirety.
I mean, it broke me. I literally self-destructed on live.
You literally did.
Yeah. I went catatonic and started to cry tears of joy.
It was like
tears
someone reset you to factory settings and you took a while to
you guys were so concerned. I was just
you just kept looking over and you were like,
I was laughing so hard, like happy laughing at that I had tears in my eyes.
Was there another episode that we thought, they didn't catch something, or what was that? I don't remember. Everything's blurring together.
Was it 9/11? Was it?
Or was it
there were a couple things in another episode.
Was it 9/12 with all of like Ravi's
9/12. 9/12.
Oh
euphemisms.
My God. Oh,
9/12. The amount of euphemisms coming out of that man's mouth were crazy.
Yeah. Also the hot tub call in
that was amazing.
704
yeah.
was they did it on ABC because it was shut down at Fox. Standard and Practices at Fox.
Yep.
Said no, it was going to be in like season 2.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what different networks will shoot down and other networks will give a thumbs up to. So,
All right. So what is a showrunner and what do they do? A showrunner is the creative person in charge of a TV program's overall storylines, direction, tone, and production. They are the primary liaison between production and the network or studio, and they run the writer's room. The show is ultimately their vision.
Even though individual writers are credited with episodes, TV writing is a collaborative art. The whole room brainstorms season arcs, character arcs, and individual story ideas and pitches, and then the showrunner assigns episodes out and does a review pass and adds their writing to every single episode.
So 911 is Tim Minear's show. All the things you love are Tim.
He's the showrunner.
Yeah.
He's like the ultimate veto power, ultimate, like, he's the one that says for certain storylines, like, this is good. We should rewrite this.
Consistency of tone, character arcs,
like
vibes.
He's overseeing all of it.
Yeah.
Yep. As like the supervisor.
It's the special sauce. Like, at least for me, like the thing I love.
We literally do say he's the special sauce, which I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we thinking like Big Mac?
The showrunner really matters,
Can't be a Big Mac without the special sauce.
No.
Yeah. And also, I think important to understand that a showrunner has to wear two hats. They are a creative person, but they also have to be a business person.
Mm-hmm.
They have to liaise with corporate and have, business conversations. And they have to pass down sometimes and communicate difficult information or
decisions.
Information that decisions that, it might not reflect their feelings, but the hammer comes from up high. You have to, part of your job in any jobs with a hierarchy.
Yeah, I remember last year specifically because of the event. I was like, everyone needs to, I felt like everyone needed to think of TV or just like the job as like corporate. Like you got to think of it as corporate.
That's when we started having these private conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's actually when we started talking outside of you just joining our live streams.
I desperately Instagram DM'd you to talk shop. It's like, guys, I work in television. Let's talk.
For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about the decision to kill off Bobby Nash, who was like it's an ensemble show, but he was like the main character of 911.
Wee Woo Dad.
Played by Peter Krause.
He was Wee Woo Dad, yeah.
Yes.
He's our Wee Woo father.
Yeah, so basically, like, Tim is the boss of, like, the writer's room and kind of production, but he has to answer to his bosses, which are, like, the network and studio people.
Yeah.
And they're considering advertisers and, like, they have their own set of complex factors that they have to deal with. It's super fun.
Yeah, but ultimately, it is his vision.
Yeah.
It's his vision. The writers obviously write their episodes, but they're pitching the ideas and he's approving them. And he's also, like we said, touching every single episode. There's not a single episode of 911 he hasn't touched that isn't in season 6.
And the way that attribution works in television, just because one writer's name or two writers' names are on a script, that doesn't mean that person or that person, and absolutely definitely the showrunner, didn't make revisions, that's their joke, that's like
over things. Yeah.
That's how it works. There are many versions of a script. Like we've seen some script pages, like, we saw one for the most recent episode and it had a ton of revisions, and you can see how many passes they go through these scripts. Another important thing to be aware of with kind of the history of TV and network television and procedurals, especially dramas on TV, is in the so-called classic era of television, seasons used to be longer. Shows would have a 22 to 24 episode show order.
I just wistfully sighed.
I know. It was a different time. It was a good time. shows would have 22 to 24 episode seasons.
Filler episodes, you're so missed.
Well, there'd be a lot more time to kind of play with concepts and worlds and characters and arcs.
Yeah.
Also important, TV had a lot more rigidity in it in terms of how seasons worked. Sometimes it blows my mind even recalling these old times as like a TV old timer. Seasons were very strictly like the times when people watch TV, because people used to leave their houses and actually go outside when the weather was nice, which I know is such a novelty.
Before high-speed internet, yes.
Exactly. So the TV season, like uniformly, was September to May. Basically, there was no new television over the summer. Summer was a complete dead zone. And because we didn't have DVR either, unless you were recording things with your VCR, summer was the time of reruns and syndication. So if you missed an episode randomly in a season, you would have to wait literally sometimes 6 months for summer reruns to see episodes again.
Yeah.
And there were no new shows in the summer. A lot of this changed with the advent of reality TV, and networks realized, we can pull people in with stunt programming over the summer, but also with the 22 to the longer seasons, shows that were 24 episodes long. What we know of now is like, it's like capsule television, like the streaming model, which is really from like Europe. Like this is how TV works in the UK, where you'll do 6 to 12 episodes and tell a contained story. With like, those shifts, now we get
the
like
little series as opposed to
limited
like
series, essentially. Like now we have a TV culture, just things are completely different, which I just think is interesting. But another critical thing with the way TV worked, with harkening back to advertisers, is something called Sweeps Week. Used to be like the thing, where essentially there'd be stunt programming at 2 key times during the year. I know the first sweeps period was always November. I'm pretty sure the second one was May, but it might have been April. But essentially, seasons and arcs were written to put big, splashy, show-stopping, often like cliffhanger, super dramatic episodes, big famous guest stars, stuff like that, during Sweeps Week, because the ratings from Sweeps Week would determine advertising rates for the following 2 quarters. So those were the most critical times for like big storytelling. And we definitely still see like the harbinger of that, even though now we get these shortened show orders. Like 911 is lucky to get 18 episodes a season. That's considered a lot of episodes now. Weeping for the time past. Imagine if we got 24 episodes a season, guys.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, because Supernatural used to get 23 and the season finale was also always 2 hours.
Exactly.
I miss it so badly. I miss it so badly. Because 911, the couple times it's gotten to do like those kind of fillery kind of episodes where like the plot isn't necessarily like moving forward, are so good. They're so much fun.
Of the best.
Yeah. They're so fun.
You get to play in the world a little bit, and that's what, and like people sometimes say like filler episodes, like it's a bad thing, but no, it's actually like sometimes that's the most like character driven stuff you might get in a season, because it doesn't necessarily have to move a plot forward, or it helps like maybe stave things off so they can get that big plot for that sweeps week, you know? So that's kind of, they were filling that time a little bit, but the way people ended up writing those episodes were really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, some of the most famous episodes of TV of all time are essentially bottle episodes.
Yep.
Which are small contained stories that are theoretically maybe filler, usually done because they don't have a lot of budget. And you get some of the best episodes of TV ever made in some cases.
They got to be so creative.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the advent of the musical episode, that came from an era of 24 episode seasons and needing to like do something different.
Something else to throw in there,
Just in general, TV has changed so much, and a term I threw out before and I might mention it again is cord cutting. So cord cutting is essentially people canceling their cable subscriptions, and this has created some of the biggest shifts in the TV industry and the rise and advent of streaming that has absolutely affected network television. So kind of the common idea of network television that remains true, but it's why we're going to talk about why 911 is so special. The people who haven't cut the cord and still have cable TV and are watching network television, including the free to air part, those who don't have cable, tend to be older. They absolutely tend to be the older generations. It's young people. Part of the cord cutting crisis is millennials and under basically not watching regular TV, moving to streaming, moving to choosing to watch no TV at all, watching YouTube or TikTok instead of television. So 911 is really special because people are coming back. Not to mention COVID and other factors, just budget cuts, etc., have really impacted TV and how network procedural television works.
Yeah.
And those budget cuts are so intrinsically tied to that move from people watching network to streaming. So there's less advertising available because there's less people watching it.
They're shifting their budgets to digital.
Exactly.
Because they have to. That's how they get people to watch.
Yeah.
So that's why when, we see 2 years in a row deadline articles or something saying, ABC is going to be facing some budget cuts like for the second year in a row. This is why.
So don't pirate television, kids.
I know Alexa touched upon some of this, but the US television industry has been rapidly changing, shifting, dwindling for the last 2 decades. And if you've only consumed television in the era of prestige cable nets and streaming, you may be missing critical context of how notable 911 and its long run potential for Buddie is. Also, how in terms of storytelling and logistics, everything about how it operates is normal and very good, actually. And we will explain it.
So 911 has this huge influx of younger viewership and like a large spread of viewership. Like how the show and the fandom are pulling young people into TV is how kind of every like television show wishes they could be doing things right now.
It's what they want. Yeah.
Yes, it's exactly what they want. Like it's what they need the young people to come back to TV because they have been doing the cord cutting that Alexa was talking about. So those are the demos. Like you want to hit everyone, like ideally. And ultimately, they kind of just want loyal viewership, but you want to get the young people because they're going to be the people who are going to like live to see the whole length of your show. So,
wow. It is morbid but true, though. Because in my day job, one of the things we have to confront and we have conversations about is viewership literally shuffling off this mortal coil.
The longevity of
so this demographic, the quote unquote youngins that we're talking about is like that 18 to 24 demographic.
Honestly, though, also millennials. Like I have been the token millennial at work for a long time.
What's the age range for that next group? Like 25 to 30. 34?
We go up to 44 now.
40 something, yeah.
Cheers. But the loss of viewership started with millennials and it trickles down. The concerning, patterns of not watching any TV whatsoever is the younger generations, but it started with millennials because we had no money and couldn't afford cable subscriptions and love YouTube.
Question then. So with this change of landscape, you said the millennial demographic has expanded. Have they expanded? Like, there's the 18 to 24, which is the typical, then like, I guess 25 to 44. I thought it used to be like 34 or something like that. So they've like widened the net.
Have they widened the net of what their most coveted age range is, I guess?
So they like get more people in on one demo.
Yeah.
I don't work on that side of TV, so I can't speak with, confident expertise, but I know just generically, like nowadays, getting young viewers, it's like anyone under 45, it is considered an accomplishment to get them to watch television, real television, and subscribe to cable and watch the ads and
sit you down,
watch on Hulu, because it's the Live +7. It's not even about the live anymore. It is the +7. It's people watching it later. It's binge watching,
like
it's
streaming
all of that
throughout the week.
Yeah.
And those numbers roll into
who can you get to have a Hulu subscription or a Disney Plus subscription? I mean, now they're the same or what have you, whatever the Paramount Plus, whatever the respective network is, Peacock. And how can you get them to subscribe to it and watch it consistently all the way through? They track who starts watching an episode versus who finishes watching an episode. They track all of those metrics. It's broader demographics as well. They're looking at age, gender, household income, education levels, because that is all the data that matters to advertisers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably get more into that kind of stuff in a little bit.
But basically, I mean, and I can say this from like an other media perspective of just like, I think that millennial and Gen Z are big target demos for like those full age ranges, because a lot of them just watch TikTok or Reels or the very short form content, because the attention span has been obliterated. So like even just getting people to watch long form YouTube content is also like pulling teeth, and that's free. So
well, and yet within those demographics, particularly Gen Z, because I feel like at least older millennials know what those shows are, but seeing the phenomenon of Gen Z especially discovering old,
quote unquote, discovering
on like Netflix and what have you, but like all the classic era TV shows that were made in the old style, like Friends or Gilmore Girls, and these shows exploding in popularity on streaming because, you know, this whole new generation going, oh my gosh, look at this wonderful long form character based storytelling. And we're like,
it has like 7 seasons and
or 10 or 15. And it's like you can get pulled into these arcs. And that's why we wanted to really point out that season orders used to be 24 episodes. And what you could do with storytelling, there's something magical about that. And so the more people come into shows like 911 in the, you know, under the parameters of the limitations of the current landscape and do essentially what's proof of concept, we can never fully go back, but maybe we can baby step closer, like get more of these shows greenlit, airing, popular. You know, maybe we could see a blessed day where we get a 20 episode order for a season of 911. Could you imagine getting more budget?
That would be
probably
so
not.
nice.
Things tend to continually move downward, unfortunately, but I can dream.
I miss 2-hour finales, man.
That's
my biggest
2-hour finale
grievance.
events. Yes.
Yeah.
I miss those,
Yeah. Like an episode 19, 20 together.
Yeah. But honestly, like that's why season 9 of 911 is hitting on so many metrics right now. This feels like classic era TV to me.
It does.
The way the season is structured and the way like the great character moments we've been getting and the story arcs and how it's clearly building toward things. There's something beautiful about a show that is reasonably confident it's going to have another season and possibly another few seasons, which we'll get into when we talk about long-running shows and what they can do.
So let's shift into talking about like what network branding means.
Yeah. So we just kind of touched on a little bit of like what some of these like age range demographics are. But like, Alexa, maybe you can speak on this. What would you say the target demographics of Fox and ABC are? Like what they are particularly looking for in terms of age range, in terms of like the type of person, like if like a profile of a person sort of thing, right?
I have in fact pulled, because I love data, I have pulled the ratings, historical ratings and current ratings for 911 on ABC and 911 on Fox, because I was just really curious. Things that don't shock me, that are true across the board, as I mentioned. The vast, like the biggest chunk of viewership is 55 plus. But it was definitely a trip looking at especially the 65 plus demos post 2020 was definitely interesting. We won't circle back into morbid topics so much, but it was definitely like, oh, okay. Older. And that's partly because I pulled live +7, but a lot of the chunk of the live is going to be people who, as I mentioned, still have traditional TV and have basically a TV viewing habit that they haven't broken. I'd say overall, like not specifically 911, but network wise, I'd say the demos for Fox skew more male. The demos for ABC, like the prime down the middle target for them, I mean, skews a little more female for ABC. I did poke around a little and I found some historical data that where ABC viewers were found to be more affluent, essentially have higher average household income, higher college degree and master's level education, which isn't to say that Fox isn't that or is counter to that. It was just like a study that was done, some data.
Not what they're gearing towards.
Yes, not who they're aiming to please.
Yeah, that ABC was notable for having that being at the top of the metric of essentially those metrics.
I mean, that makes sense. It's like it is data.
Like that's what the data bears out. But in general, Age was the biggest one, just the very clear pattern of most people watching are definitely over the age of 55. But that's what makes it so interesting with 911 when I looked at Fox ratings versus ABC ratings. Like, it's undeniable that there have been there were increases in viewership across the board in every single metric. I really looked at I looked at age, gender, and education levels. Those are metrics that I thought would be interesting, but especially with age, gains in people under 55 across the board on ABC specifically.
Well, because it's like it's a better fit, in its DNA for ABC than Fox for who their target audience is.
Which is really down to branding. And I think it'd be interesting to kind of talk about like how branding is such a nebulous thing. Branding's a vibe sometimes. It's an impression. And of course, these networks, I'm sure they have like a Bible. I mean, I know they have a Bible document somewhere that they send to advertisers that have like buzzwords, but we don't have access to that. But I thought it'd be like illustrative to talk about what is the core branding of each network and where 911 then fits in, but also how that contextualizes the move. And something that's important, we did mention it in the introduction with Fox specifically. So 911 started on Fox, so we can start with Fox. The network is only about 40 years old. It is one of the big four, but it was essentially created in the 80s. It was launched in the 80s almost as counter programming to the big three, because the big three, ABC, NBC, and CBS, were broad, big mainstream networks that already had 40-year histories that were trying to reach everyone, very family friendly, but there were opportunity areas. That's a lovely corporate buzzword I get to use at work. Opportunity areas for growth. And I grew up a Fox viewer. And so I always think about like Fox branding, like thinking about the shows that I was watching as a kid. Fox was considered edgy and cool. They absolutely targeted younger, more like urban audiences. Whereas ABC, and like this of course makes sense with Disney ending up buying it, ABC was definitely family friendly, like more of like TV for the whole family. But if you think about some of the classic era Fox shows, I think they really like, if you're me hyperventilating that there might be people who don't know what any of these shows are, but I'm going to throw out names anyway.
Most people probably know what they are. Like,
yeah, because some of these are pop culture juggernauts, but Married with Children, The Simpsons, which really opened the door for adult cartoons or cartoons for adults, edgy cartoons. That really wasn't a thing before then. It was just, Saturday morning cartoons for kids. In Living Color, which is like counter programming to SNL, essentially. I loved that show. That's where Jim Carrey got his start, and J-Lo as a dancer. Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place, like the Aaron Spelling, like soap opera dramas, and then big game changers like the X-Files.
Right. Yeah. So it seems like the kind of shows that Fox was putting out kind of at its beginning was like finding a corner of the viewership market that was not necessarily centered as much. Like you look at Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place, like that's very like teen focused, and things that are a little unusual, like the X-Files is weird stuff, right?
They were willing to experiment and take risks. Those sorts of risk greenlighting shows that might not have been picked up on other networks. And it really expanded the TV landscape. Fox was a game changer to the TV industry. It really shook things up and changed the landscape and opened the door for other networks to come in. And this also contextually was happening alongside the invention and expansion of cable television as well. So.
And by cable television, you mean stuff like HBO,
MTV,
stuff that you had to like pay for to receive.
Yeah, Disney Channel. That was the 80s was quite a time in TV. I say this like I was a literal child during that time. I don't actually remember the 80s, but I am reflective of the 80s.
Remember the 80s
based on the things I watched in the 90s.
Yeah,
the whole 2 years I was alive for them. Love the 80s.
I got a good 7 years. I don't remember most of those 7 years, but I do remember the formative memories. Like I absolutely remember watching The Cosby Show and Family Matters, like the shows that would have been appropriate for me to watch.
I mean, I did watch those growing up, but
too.
it was all
reruns.
syndicated.
Yeah. Well,
for
like
us.
Formative memory for me that I guess will always inform Fox for me, branding wise, is my mom did not want me to watch The Simpsons. This was getting into the 90s because it was considered so like edgy, like not for kids. The Simpsons and Fox programming, Married with Children, and some of like the humor that they were doing. It was, you know, I was a very young child, to be fair, but it represented cool. So I went out of my way to watch it anyway, naturally.
Well, it was so funny because that was just the stuff that my parents had on the family TV that I watched. But I do think maybe it's worth noting that, like, I feel like that changed over time,
Absolutely.
like that branding, because
Absolutely.
like I did watch a lot of these shows growing up, and like, yes, they were like cool, edgy, like different from other stuff that was being served on other networks. But now when I think of Fox, I think of dad TV, you know, like middle America dad TV. I specifically
100%.
remember in 2017, I broke my leg right before my partner had to go on a business trip, and I was laid up for an entire week in my dad's living room. And you know what he had on that entire time? Fox. And you know what I did? Suffered.
Well, yeah, it's essentially the people who were watching Fox as young people when it was edgy and cool and counterculture grew up. They grew up.
That one wasn't even on in 2017.
And there's definitely a phenomenon. I mean, this is going to sound like stupidly obvious, but there are two ways to age. You either expand and loosen and chill the F out. I am a fan. I can curse on this podcast, right? I do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I am currently in my fuck it 40s and loving everything. I have chillaxed so hard as I have aged. But also, I have witnessed the opposite. Some of us have seen this in our parents who definitely were once core Fox viewership, and they calcify a bit as they grow older and become more rigid in their views. You know, takes all sorts. But I definitely like dad TV. But Fox was always definitely targeting younger men. It was never targeting women. Whereas ABC, of course, is a family network, but especially as ABC it has grown as a network, you know, getting into like ABC is a grandma now. It's in its 80s. But ABC has definitely gone way more soapy, you know, with the advent and the glorious rise of Shondaland, like has definitely gone more like women and character driven drama than Fox necessarily, which I think always, you know, had more like high octane programming than ABC. But also it is, you know, we're talking about the aging of humans and networks. And something to definitely bear in mind is corporate ownership. When we talk about Fox being launched in the 80s, it's important or interesting to talk about who launched Fox, who no longer owns Fox, because as we all know, it's the big Disney Fox corporate daddy. But Fox was launched. And actually,
Disney just owns everything.
So Fox's origins, it was owned by Rupert Murdoch.
For those who aren't aware, like I love this lore, allegedly asterisk, but like this is the lore that Succession, it's not based on the Murdoch family, but it is inspired by the Murdoch family. Basically a big media conglomerate.
So Fox was owned by Australian business mogul Rupert Murdoch, and he had a massive media empire. Very famously and maybe most notably, he owned like the Daily Mail, the New York Post.
I think he still owns all of these. He doesn't own Fox anymore, but all the other ones I think are still Murdoch.
So like with owning the Daily Mail and the New York Post, like all of those things that very much appeal to the masses, and it's maybe a little bit of like sensationalist infotainment.
Un poquito.
Sensationalist infotainment, which isn't always a bad thing.
We all consume it. Gossip, tea. Yeah, and just overall, like, I definitely would think of the Rupert Murdoch kind of brand itself as like cool, edgy, but absolutely broad, like playing down the middle, mass appeal, lowest common denominator. And I don't even necessarily mean that as a pejorative, but in that all broadcast TV has to bear in mind and serve the lowest common denominator to a certain degree. And that I absolutely think that it, you know, as we kind of touched on earlier, that it fed into and feeds into kind of the vibe of what you're going to see on Fox programming, like over the top, big, splashy, a little bit sensationalist. But I would also say like not plot driven in a lot of ways or concept driven. Not that there aren't great character things on Fox, but that it's very like high octane, big, splashy headlines. You know, that's the vibe.
like higher adrenaline sort of stuff than like cozy.
Yeah, cozy is a great word. Yeah.
which would be more like an ABC vibe, I think.
No, totally. Because I would definitely say like a word that pops into my head that I can apply to a good number of ABC shows would be like the word cute. You say cozy. I think cute. Like I feel like both of those could definitely like fit. And those are not words I would use to describe a Fox show.
Yeah.
That's like definitely like a line in the sand in terms of branding, I think. Which like makes sense that Disney ended up buying ABC.
And that was...
And now Fox.
So...
Everyone owns everything.
Disney owns everything.
And consolidation. That's why it's bad for TV, by the way, because you have less choice and less spread of options if everyone owns everything.
I mean, monopoly. Yeah.
Monopolies.
So Fox was sold to Disney in 2017, but Disney purchased ABC earlier than that.
Actually, so ABC partnered with Disney since the 1950s, but they were not bought by them, or they didn't merge until like 1995. They were like the leader in family-friendly branding programming. They had a lot of like Saturday morning cartoons, huge pop culture family show juggernauts like The Wonderful World of Disney, TGIF.
TGIF.
Oh, I remember that.
You can always like, I remember noting that Disney had bought it because all of a sudden every TGIF show did a Disney World episode. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yes.
Let's go to Disney.
Like everything from the night, like Boy Meets World went to
everyone.
I was
had an
so
episode
excited
step by
about
step.
that. Yeah.
Family Matters.
Because it's inherent like advertising.
Yeah.
Branding.
Branding. And I think everybody knows like the Disney brand is very family friendly. So it's just using that like to transfer over through their networking.
And, you know, they have mass appeal, especially in the suburban middle or upper middle class.
Well, yeah, and just like you can definitely see that in the programming, like so many of like the family shows and dramas, like it's suburban families, like kind of living in like cul-de-sacs and like blended families, like modern family, literally modern family at one point. But when I think about a lot of those shows on ABC in the 90s, and I watched a ton of them, and some of their like watershed shows from the 80s and the 90s, like Life Goes On, which was Chad Lowe was on that show, and now he works with the 911 franchise. So it all comes back around. So Life Goes On, My So-Called Life, Once and Again, like all of those kind of like family shows that were a thing in the 90s.
Actually, it makes sense. Like, I mean, it applies, but it doesn't apply. But like, I think about like some of the Disney Channel shows that I would watch, and like they're in middle class type of homes, suburban. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I wish my house was nice. Like, I don't know.
Well, I actually think like when I'm thinking my baby self, I think that's probably why I liked a lot of Fox shows. I lived in a city. I lived in an incredibly diverse city, and Fox programming definitely more reflected my reality than other things, though I watched it aspirationally. I wish I lived in a house with a yard.
Right, exactly.
I wish my high school was nice. Though by the time I was in high school, I did live in the suburbs. But
so yeah, there's procedurals and sensationalist dramas like dominating Fox, like we're talking about, and versus the character driven, very soap opera style, like high concept shows we have on ABC.
I think a great example of that, like that definitely sticks out in my mind, would be like 24 versus Lost. Like the like high octane, fast plot, concept driven on Fox versus Lost, which was very much also high concept, but more character driven genre drama.
I think that's a great distinction, as I watch both.
And
it's like,
I love it all.
I love it all. But yeah, it's like they are very high concept, but in very different ways.
Yeah. And also from like kind of that golden era of prestige TV at the time, like Fox was airing like Prison Break and House and Bones being procedurals, which is relevant to the 911 conversation. ABC, Desperate Housewives, Ugly Betty, Scandal.
Love Ugly Betty and Scandal.
I love all of these shows.
Yeah.
My fun fact is that when I learned this, when I came into the industry, I was like, oh, you literally just blew my mind. House made by Universal Television, by NBC, but aired on Fox. Mind blown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. because Fox had that like really concept driven, high octane, like you were saying, very like adrenaline driven, keep them on the edge of their seat. They were taking big swings with the shows that they were putting out, kind of riskier storytelling, whereas ABC was, again, a little more character driven, a little more like drama. So that was their version of those, like their kind of big swings in terms of like shocking character twists and that big emotional drama. I know you guys, Han and Sil, are watching Grey's Anatomy.
To me, that typifies it for sure.
Yeah. Have watched Grey's Anatomy. I think I'm the only one here that hasn't, but I know enough like by osmosis.
You know about
from
the
you
ghost
guys.
thing.
So, yes, I think. Yes, I do.
That was a big deal at the time.
Yeah. So like that kind of big emotional drama. So ABC plays more on those emotions, whereas Fox is more like camp and melodrama, like almost like caricature, I guess you could say, where certain things are like really, really exaggerated in a different way that feels
Glee.
like
and that's what you missed on Glee.
That's what you missed in Glee. Speaking of, 911 really fit the camp procedural like kind of flavor of other Ryan Murphy shows that were also on Fox, but like as it grew and evolved to be based on character-driven storytelling, it became really attractive to ABC to then save and adopt over to their network. Like we can see in season 7 through 9 that the show moving into like ABC's more character-driven soap opera style programming, like especially as like someone who's watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy. I'm not current on it. I think I stopped like a season or two ago, but I've watched a lot of it and I've rewatched the earlier seasons a couple times. There's definitely been more stuff going through seasons 7 through 9 that I'm like, yes, it's giving Grey's Anatomy a little more, just like in how many more like two-parters we're doing, or like the big emergencies, because we used to kind of save those for just the beginning, and then everything else was more like regular. I don't want to say street level. That's not what I'm trying to say. Like that's comic book talk. Stuff, I know. Yeah. But like regular, you know what I mean? Like it's not like, hey, we're in a cruise ship disaster or landing a plane with Angela Bassett or going to space with Angela Bassett. Like, but which is throughout the season, but they are doing like multiple times throughout the season now where they are going to focus on big emergencies again, which is very much a huge thing on Grey's Anatomy. And used to be on Station 19 too. Yeah, where
soap opera-y.
It's kind of like they almost soap opera-y, but also kind of like Alexa was saying, talking about Sweeps, how like some of these shows still kind of follow that format, where they do these like big jaw-dropping like cliffhanger stories like around a certain time in the season. And ABC's like known and famous for that, and I really think it shows that like they're not only adopting that like on 911 to a certain extent, but you know what I mean, in a natural way where it flows into their show. But they're doing it in a way that it's like 911 is literally filling Grey's Anatomy's shoes because they're in Grey's Anatomy's old time slot.
And the art of the water cooler moment, like what's going to generate the conversations where people are going to talk about it. Yeah, so it's definitely like generating that water cooler moment and getting people to talk about TV to get them to watch this episodic television as it airs. Because it's like that FOMO thing. They're really good at at generating those moments, character-based moments, especially in the big emergencies. And to the point I mentioned earlier, I mean, thinking about it, I would guess that when they... like Glee absolutely demographically in the Ryan Murphy portfolio would have appealed to a wide spread of people, but definitely female viewership. And when you cast Connie Britton as like your lead, like 911 operator in season 1, like I think you're going for women, but I wonder if it surprised them how big the demographic is. And that would definitely appeal to ABC porting it over because like the demographic is really, really strong. And it's the same demographic that watches Grey's Anatomy, etc. Or similar demographic.
Well, and a better demographics because it's a much better performance and younger.
It's performing better and exactly. Because Grey's Anatomy is a mature show. She's in college, you know.
She is.
She's about to.
She's I think she's graduated college.
In
Yeah.
TV years,
she
is
has
a
college
senior
debt.
citizen. She is
In TV years, she's
like,
a senior
let's get
citizen.
you to bed,
Yeah.
Grandma. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's in like season 23, right?
Yeah. So she
So
has
she's a
graduated from
post-grad.
college and she has a lot of debt.
It reached
where
the
she's in a
point-
quarter life crisis.
it reached the point where I kept, like, every time it kept getting renewed, I was like,
Wow.
Really?
again?
Again?
Like, really? We're still doing that?
Wait, sorry, Grace?
Yeah.
Okay. I will say, when you told me that the first 4 seasons was their like intern year,
Yeah, it's 1 year.
it's one entire year. I'm just like, how?
Yeah. One entire
Talk about
calendar.
how to draw
They're
out an
aging
arc.
in front of my
Yeah.
own eyeballs.
They sure are.
It's because they work so hard in the hospital.
Okay, fine. The
That does
hospital
age you.
aged
That
them.
does age you.
Aging years over months.
Yes.
It's
Medical
the,
profession is no joke.
No, it's
It's
not.
the Christopher Diaz school of aging.
I was going to say, like, the Castiel School of Aging, where he's supposed to be an angel who doesn't
Age,
age,
but
but
he's-
Misha Collins
Is a human.
He's a human.
being.
is
Yeah.
a human being who uses his face and expresses a lot. So, like, those lines
Yeah.
were showing up rapidly.
I think the way we hand waved it away was saying Castiel just made himself age a little bit, or
Yes.
Yeah.
or he was so depleted of that angel grace that he was
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
Mhm.
aging because
We
he was
love
almost human.
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah,
You do.
I do. But I guess going back to ABC's, more character-driven soap opera style programming, like, I mean, we can see that in how 911 Nashville is currently being crafted, right?
Totally.
Which it really gives a clue on how ABC sees like the franchise and its place alongside to replace that Shondaland programming. Since we're also talking about Grays, yeah.
Southern soap.
there's a difference between the spinoffs, and like the first spinoff of 911 Lone Star was created on Fox, and the way of the tone of that show very much fit in more with Fox because it was like dark and gritty and
Yeah.
It starts off pretty bleak.
yes.
With the 9/11
God.
thing.
Yeah. Kind of like what Syl and Trent were talking about in our conversation with him. How it was like gritty and kind of it's supposed to be like 911's like darker, younger sibling.
Edgier.
Yeah.
But also like very camp. Like some of the camp experimental episodes of Lone Star were really fun. And that absolutely fits in with the Fox branding.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Question though. So like Alexa, because you were the one looking into like the demos and the ratings and stuff like that. Were you able
I
to
didn't look up Lone Star.
I wonder what kind of demographic. I was wondering if the demographic, like the numbers, right? I was wondering if they were like the same.
Maybe Lone Star was trying to
Appeal to
capture that like that male demo that they
Yeah,
thought they were going to
I
get.
think
from
that's what I
the
wanted to-
OG.
Well, still being edgy and counter and progressive in the way that Fox Ryan Murphy shows are. It didn't compromise on that.
It's such
on
a
that score at all.
dichotomy too, because of how
It's
like
an interesting dichotomy. Yeah.
because of how diverse like it starts. Like I mean, with Owen Strand building his team and like but there was like so many characters from different backgrounds, different like sexualities, different cultures and stuff like that. But it still feels like it did target. Maybe it was trying to retarget.
I think absolutely in the choice to make it Texas, they were going for a different demographic than OG, even though ABC versus Fox. I think Nashville has the same considerations of like understanding that people watching those spinoffs might be more religious. So they're both very even footed when it comes to depiction of religion. And I think that definitely differentiates it from OG. I mean, we could have a whole like 4-hour conversation just about the 911 verse.
I'm pretty sure we could.
Yeah, because
later we need more Nashville and more
That's a different
spin-offs.
conversation.
That's a different conversation.
it does kind of seem like some of the Fox shows like kind of straddle that line of there is a lot of diversity there, but also they're
keeping the
like,
core values.
Yeah. So it's like how do you walk
Straddle
that line?
How do you serve two masters? Delicately and carefully.
Or you just don't.
Or you just
end
don't.
up underserving.
I will
them.
say what is interesting right now with Nashville. So I mean, Nashville is the soapy. It's definitely soapy, but
Soapy cousin.
Definitely
The
an
soapy
ABC
sister.
spinoff.
Yeah.
yeah,
It reminds me literally of Nashville, which was on ABC.
Mhm.
yeah. But I think it's interesting how they're slow rolling certain character storylines, particularly Roxy's, because we know through I think press, we know through press that she's part of the LGBT community, but like it wasn't like it's not in your face currently.
No.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that especially in this current landscape, all shows are maybe like playing it a little toward the middle. So I'm really keen to see kind of where the slow roll goes on Roxy.
Yeah.
And just in terms of, you know, kind of, but something I can definitely say, like a little bit of insider info, because, you know, you go out and get drinks with people and people work with lots of different networks. One thing I definitely know is that a no-no topic that you just aren't going to see on a Fox show is abortion. And I know that's not the case on ABC. So we talked about standards and practices earlier. And so it can kind of be fascinating where those lines are of like, what's a no-go subject versus what you can include in a story.
I know just from watching Grey's Anatomy and Private Practice, and I think also on Station 19 that abortion storylines are a regular occurring thing, even for main characters, not just patients.
Yeah. And to my mind, I know we were talking about kind of, you know, Fox growing up, becoming a dad network. When I think about Fox and ABC now, like the framework with which I think of them in terms of network branding and what I think it means for 911, like Fox is definitely still edgy and they do a lot of cool things, but within a framework of being kind of edgy and like high octane, they play it safe a lot of the time. They're definitely playing down the middle in the same way that a lot of TV does, but they feel more conservative. I don't know if it's down to the former ownership, like kind of like the, you know, specter of the fact that it was part of the Murdoch Corporation, which is just, we've seen the cousin news network. We won't get into the weeds on that, but I don't know. But it definitely feels like there's sometimes more playing it safe, even within the framework of edgy and campy, whereas ABC feels safe. A lot of the time they feel very like they have their wholesome family friendly like history, but they have a long history of actually taking a lot of storytelling risks within character-driven story, especially with queer storylines.
So let's take this time to talk a little bit about like a brief contextual history of like the move from 911 on Fox to 911 on ABC. So 911, I think we all know, premiered on Fox in 2018. It had Tim Minear as the showrunner. So he's the showrunner for seasons 1 through 4 of 911 and co-showrunner for season 5. So from like 2018 to 2022 on Fox.
Okay, yeah. So we know that Tim was obviously the showrunner from seasons 1 through 4, and I think he was also co-running season 5 with Kristen Reidel, and then Kristen Reidel was sole showrunner in season 6 of 911, and at that point, Tim had fully moved over to Lone Star, but he had been, I think, co-showrunning Lone Star from the beginning as well with Rashad.
Yeah, with Rashad.
Yeah,
with
Rashad Rassani.
Yeah. So we have literally no information or verifiable facts unless someone has it in an interview that we couldn't find of why he made that move in that time.
And typically showrunners don't go on the record explaining why they leave shows anyway.
No.
Because it's, I mean, like we've explained to you up to this point, it's complicated. It's a complicated industry. There's a lot of moving pieces creatively and corporately. So there's a lot of reasons. So maybe it was just like that show needed him more, you know? And he just like left it in Kristen's capable hands. Yeah. That could have definitely been what happened, but it is curious timing with what we know was a shot down storyline in season 4 that Tim wanted to do, took it to Oliver approved, and then it got shot down by the network, which was by Buck. So
and it's a rare instance that we have this information.
Yes, and God bless Oliver Stark and whatever contract I'm sure he broke when he went on the record talking about this. But basically, while 911 was still on Fox in season 4, we have a quote from Oliver talking about this, and we'll link where it's from in the show notes so you can see it too. Oh, this is in Rolling Stones. But while showrunner Tim Minear floated the idea to him as a possibility for season 4, it was ultimately axed. Quote, it was shut down from above, Stark says. I don't know from where exactly, but somebody had not wanted that story to progress then. So...
and he did also confirm this on a podcast he did where he did say it was
talking about it twice, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, after the move to ABC, because Like
Correct.
once Spy Buck went canon.
So
you can
maybe
talk
all
about
of
it.
like the Fox contracts were like
maybe
done.
yeah.
Yeah, so he has gone on record like more than once talking about how this opportunity was brought to him about Buck, but it was insinuating that it was brought to him by Tim but it was shut down from above Tim.
And literally, as we've discussed, when it comes to creative decisions for the show, it's all Tim's final say, right? So if it was from someone above, it's not Tim, it's corporate. It's the network. So it would have been Fox. Someone
chain
in
of
Fox.
command. Yeah.
Chain of command.
That's
We're
why
familiar
Oliver's
with
Yes,
that.
sir, ready, sir.
Yeah.
It definitely was not Tim. It was the network. It was someone in Fox who didn't want that to happen because, well, for reasons we'll talk about later, it's unprecedented.
Yeah. And that's just the landscape of TV, period, but especially network TV, that there's just the chain of command that you have to answer to, and showrunners have to deal with a lot of factors when they're talking about these things. But I think of it like an iceberg, like that we know that from season 4, like this, I mean, Oliver's talked about it, that this was now in his mind as like a character point for Buck.
Yeah.
And that's meaningful, you know, because
we
was
also
talked about, even if it didn't make a pair.
And we also know down the line, I think going into season 7, that Oliver said he had decided to play Buck as bisexual anyways, which
whatever that means
is also a crazy thing to say.
I love the chaos energy.
He had a bisexual agenda and I loved him for it. But like, I would love to talk, Oliver. What exactly were you going to do?
Right.
What was the plan? What was your plan to make Buck bi?
Yeah.
If it was not written in, which was also the plan. So it was also, it was kind of like, this was like a
headcanon.
Seed planted and became his headcanon.
Yeah.
I love actor headcanons. I wish we knew more about this stuff.
Especially when they really understand their characters.
Yeah.
But I think just to wrap up this little bit of like speculation, I think the reason that like we particularly will speculate with an educated guess that maybe Tim leaving, you know, fully in season 6 had to do with like having his creative freedom shut down, just because it's just so curious that we know that was shut down in season 4. And then when he came back in season 7, what's the literal first thing he did for a major Buck plot that was after the 3-episode opening emergency? It was make him bisexual. Like that, I don't know.
What a coinky.
It's just curious.
We're just reading between the lines. We're just picking up what's being put down.
But again, could have been anything.
Yeah. Tim leaves show running 911 to co-show run Lone Star. Still involved because it's his franchise, but like definitely not in the day-to-day operations, which really went to Kristen Reidel, who was like one of the most experienced writers in the room. You know, she wrote some bangers, but she steps in to show run season 5 and 6.
Yes. And I think what's really important context, like I know when I binge watched all of this in 2024, like I went and did digging to contextualize the show for myself. But I think it's important to remember in terms of trajectory, season 4 is the COVID season. So COVID happens and everything shuts down. The whole industry shuts down and no one's working. So there's a really large gap between 3 and 4. They have to shut down production. Then they come back for 4. And the whole industry was trying to navigate how to even make shows safely so that the whole industry wouldn't like shut down forever. So it's a shortened season 4, which also like it's like season 4 is the big one, but that's also still a factor in season 5 and even into season 6. Like the world was still really kind of on fire a little bit and we're getting our footing back. Budget cuts is also, we have like on the record information that in this period of time. So most new shows nowadays, actors sign contracts for 4 or 5 seasons and there's always going to be a renegotiation. So a lot of things were happening all at once with the network cutting budgets, COVID stuff, you know, re-upping contracts, just like a tough era of TV, basically. And in this period, you know, important, you know, to discuss the move to ABC is that ratings were falling. And so the landscape of heading into season 6 was, is this the final season? Which I definitely think when you go back and watch it as you're binge watching it and coming into season 7, like definitely kind of informs the way that like they were clearly
being written.
Yeah, it was being written and trying to wrap up certain storylines, which just makes it fascinating watching it as an uncanceled show in full succession. But it like that's important to know when if you are binge watching this show and watching every single season of the show.
So like with this, like, as you said, Alexa, very difficult time in television that every network was really trying to like figure out their footing of how to move forward and regain. I think especially because, you know, they weren't making anything. So like people went over to streaming because there was YouTube, like all of these alternatives to classic network television. So like it created it really was a tumultuous time. And for season 5 and 6 of 911, where Kristen Reidel is being handed this big complex show with a dwindling budget because they're losing viewership, so they're losing ad sponsorships and money from that like revenue stream, and there's a lot of pressure from the network to, as they're kind of like figuring out what's going on, how do they move forward, especially with Kristen like taking the helm at this time. She had to deal with a lot of factors that were outside of her control, and very likely, I mean, educated guesses, very likely a lot of notes from the network of what they wanted as they were trying to figure out how to navigate this, like making TV in a COVID / like post-COVID era, because the landscape has been so changed so quickly. So like them figuring out what they wanted, them basically putting it on, I think mostly Kristen. I think Tim was still co-show running, but not, you know, at the helm necessarily. And just like, how do you navigate all that? And you have to take like notes from down on high, like the literal powers that be, right?
Well, and those seasons also dealt with, and this is also just another just like understanding how the complicated demands of TV, there were availability problems. There were certain cast and talent. So they always have to write around those problems. You know, Jennifer Love Hewitt had a baby, and, you know, we get the Maddie postpartum storyline to kind of work around availability. They want to bring people back, and we saw this is later at ABC, but you want to bring back characters, but they're not available. So if you can't bring back those characters, you're going to write other characters. And that's always like the fast, exciting in a way, but fast and loose, like constraints of network airing as you write and film it television, which is it's unique to that format of TV versus limited series or streaming, where you're going to film everything up front and then it airs at a later date.
This is basically like in defense of Kristen Reidel.
Showrunning is hard, y'all.
Yeah, she probably had to deal with so much.
She was just doing her job, guys.
She's not
a big, bad, evil buddy villain. Like,
no. She had to take notes from the network and implement them.
Yeah.
Even with all of that. So like, it's got to be a bit of an uphill battle, right? And coming into like this new, like a different kind of role than she had before. But in 2023, even with all of that, Fox cancels 911 at the end of season 6. And kind of like immediately, and we know also from speaking with Trenton, ABC picks it up. Like,
that's wild.
Like at the same time, like there was the Deadline article that said 911 canceled at Fox, picked up by ABC, like within the same headline, the same breath. So like, which is a crazy thing. And I know like we've seen, especially in some of these recent years, probably within the last like 10 years, there has been a trend of some shows getting canceled and an opportunity for other networks to pick it up and bring it back, or like canceled on a network, brought back on streaming. So that's that kind of stuff.
Usually so like, streaming or digital platforms, but network to network is pretty rare.
Yeah. And I think it was made possible, of course, partly because of the Disney Fox merger situation.
Yeah.
Like when the new network has a vested interest in the studio who makes the show, it's an easier move. So like,
it was like in-house kind of.
Exactly. I think similar situation with like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Scrubs as well.
Yeah. And that's why, like I mentioned earlier, the point of like studio production making and network can be separate, and one studio can sell their show to technically a competing network. So a lot of the cases where we did see that, like I some of these I remember myself, some I had to look up, but like Taxi moved from ABC to NBC for only one season back in the day. JAG moved failed on NBC and then moved to CBS and became a hit. Scrubs, as you mentioned, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, as you mentioned, where they moved from one network to another. So with Scrubs, it was on NBC, it was canceled, but ABC made that show, ABC Studios, so they put it on ABC. Brooklyn Nine-Nine was on Fox, but is made by Universal Television Productions, so they resurrected it on NBC because they had a vested financial interest in it and knew that it still had legs, essentially.
Yeah.
And ABC believed in 911 and knew that they could do something with this and bring it over and give it a new fresh life on a new network.
Yeah, it really shows the faith that the network heads had in it.
So I think
we love you, 911. We believe in you. And it worked because we all discovered 911 only after it moved
afterwards.
to ABC.
Yeah, but still represents a big move and investment in picking it up and commissioning a spinoff. ABC is investing in the 911 verse.
So with this move to ABC, Tim returns as the showrunner of season 7 for 911 on ABC. Tim, in an interview around that time where it was announced that he was coming back in full, so he was kind of leaving Lone Star, coming back to helm on ABC, he said about Buddie specifically that I've had a lot of fun writing Buck and Eddie and playing their dynamic. Their friendship is the core of that coupling. I'm trying to hit it in every episode. So here you have Tim coming back fully into the fold. And one of the things that he is kind of focusing on in this like new era of 911 is making sure there is Buck and Eddie like interaction or focus in some way, shape, or form in every episode of the season.
On top of making Bye Buck happen. Like he had an agenda.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Like, I mean, he goes on to talk about his agenda for the rest of the people too. But I just, I think it's important to point out that like he came back with a focus.
Yeah. With a plan.
Specifically on like showcasing like their important dynamic, like as friends, because it wasn't showcased as much in the previous season or two.
Yeah. And it's like what's also immediately apparent is there's a healthy increase of budget for emergencies. Marketing,
that cruise ship disaster, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like every season opener there's a lot of budget being used in the marketing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This year's was fun. I love this year's.
This year's was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or this season, not this year, because now we're yeah. And also, the queer storyline for Buck or Eddie is immediately like greenlit, written or filmed, aired, and it's crazy because like Buck came out as bi within like the first 4 episodes of premiering on ABC,
like
which
the
is
first
insane.
character-based episode after the emergency ended. Like, bam.
Yep.
Hitting the ground running.
You know that meme where it's like someone did it in like such a short amount. How does that meme go?
It's like took me 7 years.
ABC did it in 4 episodes.
4 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. So what you said about like a queer storyline for Buck or Eddie is immediately greenlit or written or et cetera, et cetera. We know this.
Speaking of insane things people have revealed on the record.
People things just say on the record and I go, were you supposed to say that? I love that I know it. Thank you.
What a world
to
live in.
Yeah.
Are you
knowing this
having
information.
litigation happen against you?
So like
it's not our NDA.
So we know already that Oliver had confirmed that a Bye Buck storyline had been shot down at Fox, but it was greenlit at ABC. However, we have a little tidbit of information regarding Eddie, which makes this so interesting because Lou Ferrigno Jr., who was guest starring or recurring in season 7 and a little bit of 8, had confirmed on the record, 704 Buck Bother Bewildered or 705, that Tommy was brought on originally for Eddie, but that was changed. So that storyline has changed. So it was originally supposed to be a queer Eddie storyline, or this is kind of a corroboration that the immediate conversation within the move to ABC was a reintroduction of queer storylines that were dropped, presumably in season 4.
Yeah, which is like a critical underpinning informing like the way that I know we all talk about Buddie and Buck and Eddie storylines on, I call it New 911, NU 911 on ABC,
It's just crazy that we have that like information.
Yeah, it's
wild. We should not know that.
We should not know that.
No,
like, but I love that we do.
I love that we do know that.
Yeah. There's usually a lot of opacity. Like, we as viewers aren't supposed to know these things about how TV shows are made. It's a strange blessing to know any of this.
Yeah,
that's one of the first things I learned about the like from press and behind the scenes or whatever.
Yeah,
like once we started watching, I was like, wait, okay, this character's bi, but it was supposed to be this other character.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
Maybe I'll watch this show.
But I think like having this little slip up just made, well, me especially, like a lot more hopeful for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So blessing in disguise, and never close. And I think we're also on the record of saying, thank goodness they went with bi Buck.
Yeah, I think it ended up working narratively way better. For Buck's character to just have a like radical acceptance.
Yeah.
I'm queer storyline.
It fits. It fits him.
Yeah.
It fits him. Whereas we're getting the slow roll of Eddie, like an arc that
I think it's better for his character and it's better for the GA's reception for those characters too. So
it worked out the way it was supposed to.
The proof, I think, is in the pudding. Like, we have these immediate shifts as soon as it goes to ABC. Like, we're back on these storylines and ratings dramatically increase. Like, the influx of new viewership, especially in key younger demographics in the +7, not just the live +7, the streaming, etc. demographic, as we mentioned at the top of the episode, is like unprecedented in a lot of ways. Like, 911 represents a hope in reviving traditional network TV in a demographic who have not been watching it. And this fandom exploded when we got bi Buck and season 7 and the move to ABC and ABC's investment in this show.
So I will just say, like, anytime fandom's like dooming, like, oh my god, this is a low rated episode, it's always citing IMDB. And first of all, it's only like a couple hundred or a couple thousand people reviewing. And a lot of people have been review bombing since Bobby died.
Yes.
Or if it's an episode that they thought that Eddie should be gay or Buddy should have happened. And again, it's just a couple hundred people or a couple thousand people tops. Those are not the numbers that matter, because first of all, they're very skewed to fandom, and second of all, like, it has no bearing on how many people watched, because what networks care about? The people, the suits, the people who keep the shows on the air. They care about money, so they don't really care about people whining. Like, they could not give a single fuck if it was rated 1 star on IMDb if it's getting the numbers that they want to see on the live +7 days numbers.
And it's carry through too. Like, what's the viewer retention and the fall off?
Exactly.
And we've seen trending where viewers are watching and they're continuing to watch, and there are spikes, and it's in core key demos that they care about. And I mean, even then though, there's stuff that we don't have access to. Like, Nielsen ratings themselves are an imperfect system. They're very much rooted in the old school style of TV. Like the primer, like, even I, like, working in the industry,
still something the industry uses.
They still use it. I had to have this explained to me multiple times. Like, what do you mean? Because it's honestly kind of a dumb system. They randomly choose households they feel are representative of households. They ask them to install a box in their house, and they track their viewership and then use an algorithm to extrapolate from these example families to guesstimate how many people are watching shows. And it's only Nielsen is like, it's literally like physical boxes for live broadcast. It's not a great.
I wanted to
but there's
have
nothing to replace it
so bad. I wanted to be one of those people.
Oh, right. But also, like, so things can be skewed based on who they choose and who's most likely to have an old school TV that they're going to have a Nielsen box hook up to. They're going to be older. So you always have to bear that in mind, like the limiting factors of demographic information anyway. It's skewed. And then with the streaming numbers, the kind of like Hulu, et cetera, a lot of companies, like, can tell you working in that arena, a lot of that information is in fact proprietary. I mean, we know Netflix has fought tooth and nail never to reveal how many people are actually watching on various streaming services. Every once in a while, they'll tell you. Now there's a little bit more transparency, but meaning
they'll tell you when they want to brag about it.
There's factors in data that we don't see, meaning ABC boxes there. They're crunching like, okay, because they actually do have the unique user data on streaming that is imperfect in the Nielsen system. They know how many times, they know that we are all rewatching these episodes episodes 4 or 5 times. And every single
Minimum.
time we're watching them start to finish and we're
Yeah.
watching the commercials.
Mhm.
Like, it's not just raw, someone watched this once data. There's a lot of data that goes into it. And it's very clear from the early renewal of season 10, 911 is cooking. 911's great. 911's doing fantastic.
Yeah, but please stop like putting up the IMDb ratings like they're the end all be all or that they like super matter. It's cool when it gets really high reviews.
It's great.
But
because then it gets like it garners more interest.
I know there's someone, and it's like no hate against this person, but I know there's someone in the fandom who continually like has a chart of like all the ratings of all the episodes, all the seasons, and one graphic, and then they keep adding like the season 9 as we go, and it's like people are like, oh, it's like the lowest rated season, and it's like because
there's a haterade contingent.
Yes.
Just to defend this person real quick, they did message IMDb to get, because there was a point where people were review bombing episodes that haven't even aired yet. So they did message IMDb to be like, can you please take those down? They have they kind of
I have no hate against them, whatever. They're just reporting the news, but I'm just saying that news isn't really like
it's like take
reflective.
Take the IMDb ratings with a heavy grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because IMDb is a little bit like the Wikipedia of movie stuff. Yeah. Because people can go in and edit it.
Wikipedia is so much more accurate than IMDb, man. I love Wikipedia. Wikipedia cites its sources. Like
just in the way that people can go in and edit it. Yeah. Like we've seen time again, like people will like
just add actors.
Random add an actor to an episode that hasn't been like confirmed yet.
And
but
how
that
many
is
times
also
have we speculated that actress is Eddie's new girlfriend and it's a random victim on an accident? Hilarious.
So just like oh my god, Gina.
Pay more attention. Pay more attention to the numbers that like 911 TV News and like is it 911 Info Brazil? That they both put out like the week after the episode or the trades. And they put out the numbers where it's like this is how many
like however many millions
people
of
watched
viewers,
it, and then it will say a number for the demographic. Like that's much more important because that's what the network actually cares about, and that'll give you a much better idea of like
where we're at,
what kind of shape we're at. And by the way, those ratings are really good.
Because like if you follow along with some of those graphics when they're posted, you'll kind of see what the average is just by virtue of seeing them every so often. So you'll understand a little more when there's a bump and you're like, oh, that was a really well received episode. Like the episode 11 was a really well received episode. I think the numbers for 13 haven't come in yet, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna be up.
I will say, I think there was a Deadline TV Insider. It was probably like a TV Insider. It's one of those TV Insider or TV Fanatic or whoever that was doing that. They did an article on the ratings and stuff. They were like, they said,
I think that was TV Fanatic.
TV Fanatic. So paraphrasing here, they were talking about the ratings for this season in comparison to the ratings from last season. I mean, I know some of it could have been the Bobby stuff, because they were trying to paint a picture of how like viewership is down, but like also you have to consider the landscape. I think as we've mentioned before, the TV landscape is changing.
Yeah, is dwindling every day.
It's dwindling every day. So I mean,
I should say it's changing.
Have to consider. You have to like. I think it's not fair to compare it to previous seasons. You would have to compare it to other shows.
Yeah.
And also like our viewership dips when we air at the same time as other certain shows, like the fucking Big Bang spinoffs.
We're not really aware of any sort of like online fandom for those shows, but their viewership is huge. It's really interesting to see those numbers, and you're like, it's chronically online people like us are like, nobody's watching those shows. No, millions and millions of people are watching
millions
those shows.
Of normal ass people are watching.
Is at the top of the chart because CBS explicitly caters to the 55 plus demo who watches.
That's why
they're going to start having a hard time soon.
They are already in a hard we are all already in a hard time.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Actually, anecdotally, I think CBS is taking interesting strides. I am a big fan of the Matlock reboot, and that is absolutely younging down. And I would say Elsbeth is also kind of trending. Like CBS is making some interesting moves in this new era.
But yeah, yeah, anyway, just like please do your research on the ratings before you like doom or like
they're not everything.
Your business proselytizing that the show is in trouble and has to do Buddie to save itself. Anyway, so let's talk about like Fox versus ABC and like why that move matters, because it really, really does. Like we've already illustrated a little bit why, but I think we're going to dig a little deeper into that specifically for queer representation.
Yeah. And just, you know, we kind of hinted at this, but really like emphasizing ABC, it appears it would be reasonable to assume they are going all in on 911 as a franchise. Because with like kind of industry things moving around, we mentioned that Grey's is really mature. Grey's has graduated from college and has debt. They are 24 seasons in or something. All the other Shondaland programs have ended, and Shonda has deals with other places. She's no longer actively making TV on ABC. They need replacement creative talent and franchises, essentially, that they carried over in 911 and immediately greenlight a franchise. Nashville's doing really well, where we've been enjoying watching it. They're building on something here. I personally think we're probably going to see more 911 spinoffs, but I
would love a medical spinoff.
I want one so bad. But like they're also, obviously they did that with Grey's and the Grey's spinoffs, but like they're looking
backwards, but because they did Grey's and then Private Practice
and then
which was another medical spinoff, but it was, I really loved that the Grey's Station 19, because it was like you got to follow the patients behind the glass doors, you know, into Grey's and follow up with them, and then you got to see like the relationship that like firefighters and like healthcare workers have with each other, and then like actual relationships, because one of the firefighters used to be a doctor and then he became a firefighter and he's married to the chief of surgery. So like there's just a lot of like cool stories you can tell by introducing another world. And they're obviously like heading in the direction to, even if they don't do medical, like really expand it and kind of replace it, so it's not like going to be Shondaland. It's like
no, exactly,
Minear, like
very much. Well, but I
like
I genuinely think they're also looking to the franchise that is beating them in the ratings, that I'm sure they'd love to do, kind of elevate to, which would be the Chicagoverse. The Chicagoverse is doing business for NBC, and that's from the Dick Wolf verse. It's all related.
I was like, it's really hard to beat the Dick Wolf verse.
Exactly.
Like,
well, and that's a whole other demographic.
He's got everything
hitting.
Also.
Yeah, exactly. They have literally everything there.
He like owns NBC.
Yes.
He doesn't, but like
I mean,
half of their shows are
a lot of their franchises are Dick Wolf franchises, and Chicagoverse is performing really, really well. And I think it stands to reason ABC is absolutely their future forecasting.
We want a piece of that pie.
They're playing a long game. Exactly. And porting 911 over is part of that. And so when we talk about ABC backing queer storylines historically, it's in a lot of these franchise long running shows. And that's what we really kind of want to talk about and look at, and why, I mean, ABC represents so much hope in general, that they're investing in it, that Buy Buck immediately happened, that we know that things are happening. But especially like when you look to queer rep, ABC walks the walk. So
so I don't want to get like too deep. I have a huge list.
I love huge lists.
It is a huge list.
Researching this was fun.
We started talking about like, let's take a look at the history of the queer rep on both ABC and Fox and compare them, and the specific metrics that we kind of laid down were like, it needs to be scripted television, it needs to be over 2 seasons, and they need to be a main character. So with that said, ABC has 25 and Fox has 16. And of these characters,
are these current or
no?
Historically.
No, this is historically.
Okay.
We went pretty far back, at least to the 80s.
And that's it. That's it.
That's
I mean,
literally it.
The millennium.
And again, it's with
the 90s.
It's with the again.
It's
main character
caveats.
has been there for over 2
and long running shows, longer running shows. We didn't look at one and done seasons, and there's definitely rep that is in. Like, so my so-called life is not on this list, even though that counts as groundbreaking queer representation. That was on ABC. So.
We're just kind of we're trying to look at shows that like would be more comparable to 911
to compare
specifically. Like between not in like the genre, but just in like it's scripted, it's network, it's a main character, and they're there for several seasons. So Buck is the only bisexual man on network television currently. That is crazy.
That's our boy.
That is our boy.
The other 2 bisexual men that we have from this list, and there are only 2, is Nolan from Revenge and Lucifer from Lucifer.
Title character.
Yes, title character. And they're both morally gray characters, like completely morally gray because of the nature of both of those shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and because of who Lucifer is.
Revenge was on ABC, Lucifer on Fox.
Yes. So yeah, both of the other bisexual men were morally gray characters, whereas like Buck is the hero. So like, is it possibly a villainization of bisexuality, like especially for men? Because like the numbers that I have on on the characters being bisexual, first of all, is low. And that the fact that out of these 25 plus 16, that's 41 characters, only 3 of them are bisexual men is kind of crazy. And specifically like Nolan Ross from Revenge, he's established as bisexual in season 1, episode 10, by sleeping with a man. And then he calls himself a 3 on the Kinsey scale in that episode. Season 1, episode 10. And then with Lucifer, it's season 1, episode 2, and he has a threesome with a man and a woman. And then also in season 2, episode 11, he verbally says that he sleeps with men and women to Chloe. So both of these other bisexual men were established as bisexual in the first season of the show. So it's like introductory to the character. Yeah. That's the groundwork. That is how establishing queer characters generally just goes on network television. They don't like normally conceptualize a character and then down the road go, oh, there's queer coding here, let's make them gay, because it just doesn't sell well with the general audience, or so they think. They think that general audiences can't handle the concept of people coming out later in life. But I think 911 proved them fucking wrong, because season 7.
Yeah, 911 is here to explain comp het in a Glee speech. So
pretty much.
I mean, genuinely, it's a storytelling shortcut. It was the Glee context made me feel old, but it was still a brilliant thing for general audience for the show to do.
So with that framework kind of in mind of, like the characters with those like filters that you put on there, how has Fox and ABC instituted like queer representation? Like the what are their patterns of that like throughout the years is, I think, something we want to touch on.
Well, I definitely know for me, just kind of growing up as a millennial watching TV, like again with the kind of the sense, memory, and vibe that you have of networks. I know, Han, you are the closest to my age, so also might remember some of this. Like for me, ABC and Disney owning ABC has just always been like, they've always had groundbreaking queer representation. Like historically, they've done it over and over again. And like the big ones that I think of just in terms of like watershed moments in TV and for queerness on TV that happened on ABC. Like I mentioned My So-Called Life, Ricky being like the first gay teen character on television. Like he was, and there's all sorts of interesting like meta TV stuff about like the fact that show only got 1 season, even though like it was critically acclaimed. Like there's all sorts of complicating factors in the strides in representation, and that's just the nature of the beast. Similarly, Ellen, famously, first character to come out on TV. She comes out first character to come out as a lesbian on TV on ABC in, I believe, 1997. And I've watched like documentary videos about this. Like I remember when it actually happened because I just liked that show. I watched that show as a kid and I liked Ellen DeGeneres' comedy. And my context as a kid was, oh my God, that's so cool. Ellen like is a lesbian. Great. Like obviously, like I was raised in a queer friendly household, so I was on board. I don't even remember the backlash very much, but like it was a big deal that Ellen came out on television, on network, primetime network television. And it created all sorts of ripples though, because a lot of the advertisers, they lost advertisers over that. There was a huge, like the like Christian right did like a huge protest. There was blowback. Laura Dern struggled to find work for a while. Like we know this now, like we didn't even know that at the time because she played her love interest in that episode. Like messy, imperfect progress, but it was still a huge deal that happened. And that happened on ABC. I also remember once and again ABC show because I watched that. It was about a blended family and a bunch of the characters were teens. So that was targeted to like me. And it had the first lesbian teen romance on television. Like all of this was on ABC in the 90s. And that's not even getting into like the grays of it all and Shondaland, and just like Shonda shows are so, I mean, they're just diverse across the board, but like never afraid to go for queer rep. Like ABC ABC's been doing this. And
Walking
Disney in general,
and talking the talk.
like, I know people make assumptions because, you know, the family friendly branding, Disney's always been queer friendly, you know, and like a haven for queer people. And Disney bought ABC in 1995. And that's really the beginning of a lot of groundbreaking queer rep on ABC. Like, I think those things go together. And so the move to ABC and the immediate jump to buy Buck, like it connects for me. It feels obvious to me. We're doing great, fam.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence.
Yes. And just that also ABC shows in multiple of these examples are examples of people coming out in the course of a show. To your point, like we have characters who start out like from the jump, they are queer, they are gay. And I'd say that's the bulk of the rep on Fox. When I'm thinking about the shows I've watched, like a character is usually established as something. ABC in particular, I just think there's a bread and butter there. They have no compunction in evolving the storyline of a character and exploring queer coding.
Yeah, I have the numbers for that.
Yeah.
It's coming out later in seasons, like after season 1.
Yeah.
Fox has 5 characters, of which 3 of them are teenagers, I believe.
Yeah.
So
pretty young.
And that's kind of just normal because like they're teenagers. So
I
don't know. I would say 2 because 2 adults, right?
Yeah.
And then for ABC, there's 9.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all in.
Yeah, that's kind of like an
Never
interesting difference there.
Yeah, and they have the most recent ones too. Like the last Late in Life on Fox, they did was Erica Dundee on The Last Man on Earth, bisexual woman.
Yeah.
And the most recent one on ABC, other than Evan Buck Buckley, is Amelia Shepherd from Grey's, who came out as bisexual in 2023. So they had 2 like back to back seasons.
I didn't realize
big
it was
shows
so close together.
Having Late in Life and both bisexual, which is awesome because, you know, any representation is great representation, but I feel like the bisexual representation tends to be lower than gay or lesbian.
Yeah. Well, and in general, just I think a thing to bear in mind about TV, because, you know, we're talking to fandom and like we are fandom people. Like we get it. We get the desire to have more of this happen now, happen fast. But it's insane how much the world has changed in just a very short period of time. Like I like thinking about like the 90s and what was like, it's insane that was groundbreaking rep in the 90s, by the way. It's not like the 90s invented gay people. It's just broad
they were brand new,
TV,
Alexa.
they were brand new. It's always a little behind. And it definitely feels like things have changed so much for the better. Like the strides, like just in the last like 20 years of my life are insane to me. Like that's the thing about watching the Comp Het Glee speech where I was like, I love that they did that because I was like, yeah, Josh, explain to the character only slightly younger than you that it's like, things were different when we were younger and we're not that much older than you. Like we've come a long way. And so I think that TV, just by dean of being straight down the middle, it might feel like it's behind or slower, but like the progress is happening. And 911 feels unprecedented to me. Like I jumped into this fandom because I was like, is this really going to happen? Because I've lived my whole life with this not happening.
Yeah, so ABC is, you know, very queer friendly and really progressive. It's always been, and it really is like the best possible home for like 911 and the potential of Buddie.
Absolutely. We're home, guys.
We're home. We're in our gay home. All the other gay characters. And I think it is worth noting too that like they're taking the time slot of Grey's Anatomy, which is, you know, like one of the longest running shows ever that isn't like a soap opera.
It's the confidence ABC has.
And they have had so many queer characters. So, you know,
that audience is primed.
We're all
for
up
it.
here. Like ever since we've moved to ABC, it's nothing but good signs. ABC, Tim back in charge. Like it's all good.
Investment in the show, marketing budget, whoever our social media person is, we love you.
Looking up.
We see you.
So
yeah.
Now that we've covered like that end of things, let's kind of talk about like long running shows and story arc timing and like how that works. Because if you aren't familiar with watching really long shows or like watching it like week to week instead of just binge watching something that's finished, you might not be familiar with like the pacing of how this stuff works.
Yeah, I think that, you know, we've been in an era for the immediate near present of shorter run series, limited series. We mentioned with streaming, they write it all ahead of time. They film it all ahead of time. And you're lucky if you get, you know, 6 episodes, 6, 8, 10 episodes, and then you have to wait 1 to 2 years between seasons. And that's not how network works. But even so many shows don't have the stability of knowing that they're going to be running for a long time. And in the unique situation when a show is a hit and the stability is there, the network's behind it, they have a high degree of confidence that they're going to last a long time, they have to plan their story arcs with this in mind. And it's a tightrope that they're walking too, because sometimes you can only see like one season ahead of yourself or 1 to 2 seasons ahead. I think that we see that when we were talking about seasons 5 and 6 of 911, where like, I know that from your Trent episode that the season 6 renewal came really late. And so they had to like pivot like last minute. Like that's what a lot of shows live in. They're always like on the edge and on the bubble. But when you have a long running show, you have to stretch out your storylines, especially your character storylines, especially your core, I'd say like tension storylines, which kind of gets us into the art of the will they won't they of like, so you want something that's bringing viewers back week to week. It's like, you've got them on the edge of their seat and they're excited. Outside of that paradigm, like we name dropped 24 earlier, the whole thing that was bringing people back every single week was the ticking time clock and the format of, that it's 24 hours, it's a single day. So the viewers have to come back every single week or they're not going to like know what happens. Similarly, in these like long running shows, in terms of stretching out an arc, often they'll do a will they, won't they.
Also, mains are in that too, right? So like they'll often leave or be reduced, sometimes due to budget constraints and actors wanting to do other things. But because of that, like new cast will be introduced, and worked in.
Yeah. So like, especially in long running ensemble shows like 911, that start with one main concept and keep going, they must evolve in terms of that main concept and character focus, as well as introducing new obstacles or dramas into the original show concept. I think 911 is pretty remarkable in the way that like
there are such a tight core group.
That it's through 9 seasons they've maintained pretty much the same ensemble cast. That doesn't
The only
happen.
changes were Connie Britton leaving after season 1 and Peter Krause leaving after season 8. And that's like unprecedented again to like have the first major character death in season 8. Like,
that's like 2 main characters of all of the main characters, and like they've brought people in like as not like the core 4 sort of thing, but like surrounding them. But generally speaking, it is a extremely tight knit core group of characters, like the main characters and especially the recurring characters. Like it's all, everyone's the same.
Yeah. Which is crazy when you compare it to like, Syl and I can talk about this, to Grey's Anatomy, and the turnover of main characters on that show is quite frankly frequent.
Well, they have to.
Yeah, I was going to say they have to, because like, new year, new interns. But I think,
even the mains.
Actors can't do like, even if it's a cushy job, an actor doesn't necessarily want to play the same character forever. Actors like variety. Actors have families. Actors want to do other things. There's so many constraints in a long-running show.
And Grey's loves to bring in new characters where that new character brings in some drama.
Secrets.
Normally in the form of some sort of sibling of
secret
Meredith
siblings.
Grey's. Yeah. They love that secret.
I'm waiting for
trope.
it on 911. I'm pulling for secret siblings.
Oh my God.
I mean, I just want a Diaz sibling, and I know. I will continue to hope.
It's probably not going to happen.
Anyway.
But no, especially like as a longtime network TV viewer, like I've done my time. I love this kind of stuff. Coming into 911, the first network show, I've been off the wagon a little bit with scripted network procedurals, and I got sucked into 911 and I watched it all in one go. And I got to season 8, so I caught up to my first live episode was Confessions. What a time to be alive.
That's an incredible.
And then 8A ended. And I was just like, what else did we do during hiatus but talk about 911 incessantly with everyone that we know? I mainlined like your entire podcast, but I was talking to friends and I was like, it's really weird that the entire main cast is still on this show. And I was just like, thinking about like characters and like, I writer brain takes over. I'm like, where would I take this show? It's what you guys do too. It's why I like listening to you, because you feed my writer brain. I was like, well, someone has to leave. And I was just puzzling it out with people. I was like, logically, Bobby has to leave. He should retire. If Bobby retires, it's like dominoes and it cascades and it affects every single character. And they would all have incredible growth that would get them 2 to 3 seasons minimum of really interesting high conflict storylines. So I accidentally manifested wrong.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. Not manifested. You wanted him to retire and not even.
I wanted him to leave. I didn't want him to die. So I feel like I am to blame.
This is your fault, Alexa.
This is your legacy now.
No, but one of the first things you ever said to us on a live stream,
I know.
But it was after the Bobby death, I believe.
Yeah.
So we were like, what do you think? We were like, oh my God, Alexa, writer, what do you think? Is he alive or dead? And you were like, as a writer, he's dead.
Oh, I knew that's the thing. So I said this to my friends maybe 3 weeks before the funeral film, like maybe 2 tops. And then I saw that and I was like, oh, they're doing it. Wow.
No, and I mean, it makes sense from that perspective. And it makes sense with like, we knew that Peter Krause had said that like, the schedule
he
was
had
grueling
talked about it on record. So
he is on record talking about it.
So in fairness, maybe like, that thing where like you subconsciously know something and then you talk about it. I think I had absolutely read like interviews and I was like, time to shake things up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you're right. Like they did need to narratively and it just helped that I guess Peter wanted to leave and do his next thing. Yeah. But like,
but especially watching other shows, like we all have trauma from our various network shows we've watched where people die or leave and it's your favorite character. Like I still have trauma from like Lost and Torchwood. Oh my, ER. So many people have ER trauma. Like the big, like there's like, I can't spoilers for a 30-plus-year-old show, but
what's great is when you watch 15 seasons of a show and your character dies and comes back over 15 seasons, but then they perma-kill him with a piece of rebar. In the last episode, in the series finale. That's not traumatic at all.
Wonder what we're talking about.
You guys have ultimate trauma. You guys have ultimate
We do. We have so much supernatural
trauma.
And so that's why, like, when Bobby death happened, I was just like, TV. I'm a hardened TV viewer.
And that's funny because, like, I feel like Bobby. I would have also been like, because, it would make sense, to be honest.
Yeah. I think I was just, they wouldn't have filmed this out in the open.
Yeah, I was getting there.
I love and support you all. Yeah,
but like, I was like, but then with the whole, okay, no, I was like that. I probably would have been but like then we had that unfortunate day happen where they kind of just spoiled everything. And then there was that script leak by certain people. I don't listen. I'm trying not to name drop them, even though we all know who we're talking about. But like,
if you know, you know.
But like, if it wasn't for those things, like we wouldn't have like spent 2 weeks leading up to actual permadeath episode, right? Like thinking up theories and then making connections to like the, what was it? Hot Shots episode.
Like the red herrings of it all.
Yeah. We would have just been like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Very, very big fumble of a major character death. Happy he's dead narratively, to be honest with you. Like it's done fucking wonders for the narrative.
It has.
Love Bobby to death.
Oh, that was a me joke.
I'm not sad that he's gone, like, because it's so good for the story. And like, if the actor wants to leave, the actor wants to leave. So what are you going to do? And also budget cuts.
Yeah.
So anyway, so from the beginning, like Buck and Bobby have really kind of been the main characters. It's an ensemble show, but really they were kind of the people who we saw the POV of the show through the most. And especially because like it was very much like father-son or like mentor-mentee. And now that and obviously Angela Bassett, because the show is built for her and it's Angela fucking Bassett. But now that Bobby's gone, it's definitely Buck is the main character, but and Athena. As long as Athena is there, she's also like gonna be the main character. But because of, I think they're doing a much better job of it this season because they have to like establish connections without Bobby. So she's being more integrated into everything, which is awesome. And I love to see it.
I love it.
They centered her grief in that opening emergency, which I think was like really one of the best uses of Athena in an like to have the opening emergency revolve around her.
Well, and how we used her in episode 13 in Mother's Boy and how how she was like, don't talk about Eddie like that. And okay, I'm going to talk Eddie through getting Buck back because he needs, you know what I mean? Like they're involving her in things that we normally wouldn't see her in. So it's like, obviously she's still the main character because she's Angela Bassett. But Buck is also the main character.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at moving forward. But they've already done what we're talking about, where it's like, as the show matures, they need to bring in new characters because some people leave, but also because budget cuts and new actors for the show are less expensive. So we already got that this season, bringing on Corinne and Elijah, their characters Harry and May, as season regulars. And that's bringing new blood into the 118 and possibly, you know, Dispatch, if that's where May goes, whatever.
Medical
But we're already starting to see that.
Yeah. Well, and also like that we just recently got, like, I'm calling it Mavi. That is my preferred ship name. But like, because another hallmark that we see in these long running shows as they get more mature in their season run, new characters, new romances, including new romances introduced for established characters.
Do you want me to go into this quote, or do we not want to cover?
I think we already covered the whole.
So with Buck, you know, being this main character along with Athena, and it's been interesting in season 9 because he hasn't really gotten as much focus on in certain storylines. There's always a focus on Buck, but like on Buck's personal grief with dealing with the Bobby fallout and everything. So Tim said in an interview that came out right after 9/13, he said that episode was a way to start to shift the narrative a little bit into Buck's point of view. Because if you look at the season, I've been trying to give every character. Basically, the question I've been asking myself this year is, if it's a story, a deep personal story that I could have told without Bobby's sacrifice, it was probably the wrong story. So I've been trying to give each of the characters a moment to express the hole in their heart, their grief, and now it's time for Buck. And so to me, this was a way to start to shift Buck's point of view and to just give you a taste of it without the name Bobby being mentioned every 5 seconds. So like Buck hasn't had a lot of like the typical like A plot lines in a lot of season 9, but this, I think 9/13 kind of shows that they're shifting back to it a little bit. And they'll always like, Buck's kind of like what a lot of things are orbiting around, right? So like it might go a little bit away for a little bit, but it'll come back. I don't know if that was a bad metaphor, but I'm going with it.
Technically, we're in season 9, but not really, because we did a switch from Fox to ABC, where we're targeting a new audience and different demographics. Season 7 through 9 is kind of like the soft reboot or reintroduction of 911 as a show. So for us, and I've said this on the pod, live, wherever, season 9 is season 3 of 911 on ABC.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, essentially. Yeah. So that it makes sense in that way, because it works with how many new people have flooded to the show with By Buck becoming a thing. And it's like added to by the very kind of like aggressive marketing that ABC has done for each season. Like they've put out the trailer promos that have gone viral 2 years in a row with the B NATO and the what the heck is that? Like all of the promo, like ABC is going so hard to promo this show.
7 went viral too.
Yeah. Oh, it did.
Yeah, we just weren't here for it. But and Fox didn't do this. So this is all ABC being like,
exactly.
Watch our show. It's our show now. Watch it.
So like they're investing so much in 911. Yeah. And it's almost like it's not exactly a brand new show, but they're kind of treating it as such. Yeah. Because I think I remember reading some articles in early like season 1, season 2 on Fox. I think specifically season 2, Fox marketing said they poured a lot of extra money in to really hype it up because they believed in it so much. And they had like a 2-night premiere and they had like billboards and like pop-up event things. So like ABC is doing that with 911. And if you look at that trajectory, it was like 1, 2, and 3 on Fox. And it's kind of like the same 7, 8, 9 on ABC. Like it's very paralleled in the way that the marketing is being invested in that way.
Yeah.
And the rule of thumb with network shows like this is you can't assume that new viewership coming in is going to watch all the back catalog, especially with a procedural. If a new season is a new opportunity, and so sometimes it's like you'll retread information and like catch them up. And we've seen so many examples of that, especially in 9, I feel the callbacks and whatnot, and like reinforcing key things about characters, even like little flashback montages for key characters. That's predicated on the assumption that people are coming in brand new. So this show is having to serve both audiences. And like just in terms of investment, like I had never like even considered 911 or seen anything about it until ABC. Like they're putting so much marketing into it. And I think they're aware that they have people coming in who probably, I know it seems obvious and we all did it. We went back and we watched eight seasons, however many seasons had been airing at that time to catch up and jump in. Some people aren't doing that. And so it's just, I think we can see in how they are building, like slow rolling certain things over 7, 8, 9 on the new network, that it's like a soft reboot. And like, it's like, that's why I feel we are patient, but I feel like Fandom needs to slow their roll a little in terms of demanding that things happen right now, because they're doing such considered rollout for general audience.
Yeah, like 911 is having to balance a lot of factors as a long-running show going to a new network where Tim is very likely being told and having a strategy being handed to him a little bit by marketing of turning 911 into ABC's next Grey's adjacent franchise show, because like they need another mothership because that was theirs of scripted television. Obviously it's not, because it's in the pasture slot, if you will, on its way out. And it's on 10 p.m.
I know that just took me out. Like they're really putting it. I know that's exactly what they're doing.
It's on 10 p.m. on a weekday night. Like
no, it was just really funny. Sorry,
but you know what I mean. Like they're very much setting it up to be the next Grey's Anatomy. So like I'm sure like as much creative control as he's being given, he's also being given notes and having to like to straddle like the demands of a new network, which handles things a little differently and like structures their seasons a little differently. So I think we're really hitting our stride in season 9 that like all of that has finally balanced out into the 911 flavor, and we're not kind of being like, hey, what's happening anymore. It's not a shortened season. It's not a season where we killed our first main character. It's
really wreaking havoc on our pattern recognition.
Currently, we have seen up to episode 13, and it's like everything's a 10 out of 10 except for one episode, which is still an 8 out of 10. Like they're all really good. So all of that to say, just like
it's firing on all cylinders.
We're firing on all cylinders. Strap in, because this is going to be a long ride of a show. Like it's not going anywhere because it's performing well. They're setting it up to be like a legacy show. A legacy show.
Yes. They're going for 18, 19, 20, 24 seasons. They're
exactly.
That's the ideal.
And Ryan Guzman is cheering. And so are we. We want that too.
We want it.
Because we see the longevity, and they're doing it better than any show that has lasted this long, in my opinion, that I've seen.
Blowing my mind.
Everyone just take a deep breath and have patience.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen, or I've rarely seen a long running show like this reboot so successfully 9 seasons in to have a return to peak form. Very few shows are able to do that, but I've been feeling like season 2, season 3, season 4 vibes on season 9. Reinvigorating that energy is insane. Like you mentioned,
I'm not sure that's been done before.
I don't think it's been done before. Like because like we're going to talk about a few of them, but like where you peter out on a procedural as it kind of gets like 8, 9, 10, 11 seasons where we're like, oh, I don't think I watched the last season of that, because people peter out on them. We're on season 9 and they're killing the game and they're gaining. The numbers are going up. They're bringing in new viewership, reinvigorating the whole and
younger viewership.
What a time to be alive and watching television.
Yeah. So speaking of the art of the will they, won't they?
The will they, won't they romance tension is a classic of television, especially long-running series of all kinds of genres. Some have done it incredibly well and used that tension and the passion of the fandom for that ship to sustain a show long-term. And others have fumbled it.
Supernatural.
Not naming names or anything.
The key is a low and slow burn, but with enough bursts of progress and excitement that the audience doesn't get frustrated and walk away. So, like, I don't know, just sprinkling.
I mean, sprinkle.
Yeah, sprinkles of just that tension and the delicious building of the angst and the really literally will they, won't they? Because that's what it is. It's like, are they, will they? Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't ever happen. Maybe they will. And that's literally what this trope is.
And then sometimes they do, and then they don't again.
Yes, it's true.
So like different shows kind of take different approaches to this will they, won't they slow burn trope. So I think there are a couple that will kind of just like brush upon, namely like Grey's Anatomy, Bones, Castle. Those kind of seem to be like a like the will they, won't they's that a lot of people have as touchstones, kind of, right?
Yeah, especially on procedurals, because I mean, gosh, comedy will they, won't they's is like a whole other subject. Like,
I mean,
Friends.
I feel like the most classic will they, won't they is Ross and Rachel on Friends, because they do get together in an early season, which I can't remember which one. Is it 2?
All blurs
2
together.
or 3, I think.
Especially in those long season runs.
They get together, they have a fight. Ross thinks they're on a break, and then the rest of the 10 seasons is them literally will they, won't they, until
like
the
dancing
point,
around each other,
dating other people. I think they do date again, like very briefly. Well, do they ever date again? It's like they almost get back together, but then they don't.
But then they
They have a child together.
Wait.
And then they still don't end up dating. And then, they have a one night stand that produces a child still.
Yeah, you're giving me the history of this because I actually never watched.
Yeah.
It's messy.
And
They're
then
messy.
literally, like at the very last episode of the show, like Rachel works in fashion and she's supposed to be moving to France to work her dream job in fashion. And then
Gets off the plane.
She ends up not getting on the plane, and like it's the whole classic like run race to the airport trope. Yes. And then they get together in literally the last episode of the show.
Because you got to draw it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that is again a like 30-minute comedy sitcom. So which is different. So I mean,
it's different, but like Grey's Anatomy has done this same thing with Meredith and Derek. Like they hook up in the first episode and then they're together, and then oh my god, he has a wife, and then they're not together, and then they hook up, and then but they're still not together, and then he like slut shames her because she's trying to move on, and then they do get together, but then she's like suicidal, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this. So then
oh my god,
you're getting into the territory after I stopped watching Grey's. Wow.
Yeah. And then it's literally just like it's two people who very much love each other, and you can tell it's going to be endgame, but like they will, they won't, they to the umpteenth degree.
Yeah.
Like literally, I don't even think Scylla's past the will, they won't.
No, they're married through Post-it note.
Yeah, that's still not the end of it.
Post-it note?
Yes, they got married on a Post-it
so we're
note.
not.
You're not even done. The will, they won't, they.
What?
Even after they're married and have a child, they still are not done.
Wait, don't tell me they break up again. Oh, okay. All right.
Anyways,
not fully, but like they have another fight, which leads to oh my god, are they really not going to end up together? So like they're still even, and that's a classic thing actually. Once you get a slow burn couple together, you still have to create tension and drama. So there's still going to be,
and
like,
there's a lot of that breakup and then get back together and then break up again. So it's like this constant cycle of like the will they, won't they stay together.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like
they do it with Callie and
Arizona
too. Yeah. Oh, they do will they, won't they with all their couples. It was just like Meredith and Derek were like the blueprint.
The big ones.
I don't think there's any couples on that show that just like got together and were chill.
No. Like I'm thinking about Lexi and Sloane. Yeah.
No, Lexi and Sloane were will they, won't they? Absolutely. Who else? Other people. Oh, Dr. Bailey and what's his face? He was on Station 19. I can't remember his name. Oh my god. It's not Tucker. That's her first husband.
No.
Why can't I remember his name?
I don't even think I met him yet. Or maybe I did. I don't know. So I know there's a guy
he was an anesthesiologist
Mm-hmm.
who started flirting with her. And then they date a little bit. And then she gets traumatized and breaks up with him. And because of the pew-pewing. And which I don't think you've gotten to yet. I'm so excited for you to get to that absolutely deranged arc. But yeah, so there's just like a slew of will they, won't they on grades. And I think they continue to still do this in season 20,000, whatever they're on.
Yeah. Like, I think even you see this happening concurrently, like with shows on right now with like The Rookie. I'm not totally caught up yet. With
Chenford,
with their most recent season. But yeah, with Chenford, and Lucy, and
honestly, I think they could have drawn it out even more.
Yeah, because they had Lucy and Tim like get together in earlier seasons, and then they'd broken up, and then they were
very
kind
stupid
of
reason.
And
it's always a stupid reason.
And then they'd kind of been in this like will they, won't they again. And I think they were just starting to like get them back together actually. But then, things are happening. This is like
Gilmore Girls did that.
Yeah.
With Luke and Lorelai.
I'd say like The Rookie, like I feel they did Chenford a little fast. And because they did it a little fast, they had to back off of it. They had to create that like breakup reason really fast. Ones that I like to think about where what I just want to like articulate to, why we're making this video and fans who are like, we get the frustration, except we also get the art of a good slow burn and a will they, won't they. When I think of procedural shows, and these are ones where they were built around a will they, won't they. 911 isn't even about that, which we're going to talk about.
No.
But like, I think about Bones. Bones ran for 12 seasons. I loved that show. They do not get together until 127 episodes into the show. That's 6 seasons in. That's halfway in, because remember the longer season orders. And I some of this I had to refresh my memory, but like this is like a list of just some of the things they did with this couple. They had other characters suggest to either that they had feelings for each other and had them deny it. Does that sound familiar? They had them bickering like a married couple. Does that sound familiar?
Very.
Yeah. They had, when they were with other people, them be jealous of the other. And then this is the stuff that like, well, they had NDEs, obviously. Constantly. Where like, they're like to try to stir up feelings. They had them, this is the fun stuff more like before and after that we haven't even gotten. Going undercover as a couple. Another character makes them kiss under a mistletoe. A case means they have to take care of a baby. I want that one on 911.
Yes.
Still has said that.
Yes. Like there's so many things they can do. Someone obsessed with one of them targets the other one because they see them as a threat. Booth's brother kisses Brennan and he has feelings about it. Like we haven't even done some of these things that we could totally do. And Castle's another one that I watched. Similar, they had 8 seasons. They don't get together until season 4. So halfway in the case of both of these. And that was 80 episodes into Castle. And they did a ton of that same stuff. And Castle had mitigating circumstances that we don't have to worry about, where there was cast stuff that created, I won't get into Castle lore, but in the, like, if you know, you know. So meaning there are complications to why it maybe went downhill after the will they, won't they had partial resolvement.
Yeah.
Bones, like better example, but like long running, they had to draw it out.
So as of episode 13 of season 9, we are 137 episodes into 911, but only 41 into the new canon on ABC. So 101 also into Tim Minear's showrunner canon, since he didn't do
all of it.
6. Yeah. So we're not even close to the episodes of when these two famous procedural will they, won't they couples got together in the new canon.
That's quote unquote new.
Well, and
quote unquote
the
new
ABC canon. Yeah.
Actually, ABC canon.
We're only 127 episodes into Eddie being on the show. So I forgot. Like season 1.
That's also true.
Yeah, so that makes it like slightly really unique territory. However, like you can't deny Buddie isn't getting the same treatment like that straight couples whose will they, won't they is the underpinning of the show's core premise. So yeah, like they are being treated as a straight couple right now.
Currently,
yeah. It's the same trope.
The same tropes.
Really, when people are like, oh, they're never going to do it because gay, it's like, no, they're following classic will they, won't they. It's just that people who ship straight couples can't scream queerbaiting when they don't get it when they want it.
Yeah.
Well, and those show examples are also created in an era where because they are straight couples, like both of those shows are built around from episode 1, the will they, won't they. It's very clear in the text. But when we talk about 911, meaning those shows are procedurals and romances. But when we talk about 911, 911 is not a romance. And so you have to consider that.
So like really, Buck and Eddie's will they, won't they hasn't even begun because they haven't had their feelings realizations as far as we're aware. Like it's not been shown. So we're kind of in a groundbreaking territory here with 911, with what it can do with Buddie as a slow burn queer romance with that will they, won't they tension. And that will inevitably, because it always does, pull in more viewership and drive up the ratings. And that can also become a marketing angle where 911 will still be like the procedural at its core, but then they can like use that as a bit of an angle to like grab more people in because everybody's a sucker for the will they, won't theys. It's the tension.
Well, I also think, and I don't think we actually put this anywhere, but I think that it's also, we're living in a post-heated rivalry effect era where not only were they following the network rules, but now they have kind of some like proof in the pudding of like, hey, queer romance can sell to literally the masses, more masses than you've ever seen. So we're really set up in a prime position to be able to do this in the most natural like timeline for the show's format as possible. I was just going to say like the show has not been subtle about what they're doing. To the point that general audience is picking up on it because hey, guess what? They're writing it that way.
And
they're following the classic tropes and structure to make it obvious for the general audience.
It's an intentional, slow rollout, especially on the 3 seasons on ABC. Like it's, there's intention there. We can see it. So for example, like one of the quotes that like made me go a little feral and insane was Tim talking to TV Insider after 9/13, where like he's not being subtle. He says, I mean, and you guys have talked in your recent episodes about like we have had multiple instances of Eddie explicitly turning down women. It's not subtle. And that he says, I just want to try to be very careful about trying to hook these characters up with outside characters. I really think the successful couplings on this show have often been existing characters. To me, that he's not being subtle.
No.
He's our buddy captain.
Yeah. So, and also in answering that, like Eddie seems especially unaware that people were like viewing Buck and Eddie as a couple in 9/13, and people grilled Buck about whether he was in love with Eddie. Why does does Eddie really never ask himself if Buck might be into him? And Tim said, I think it's something he doesn't consider. Just going off of when Buck sort of came out to him as bi, Eddie was a little surprised, but then immediately was like, well, whatever. I just don't think it's maybe a big deal yet.
Yeah. So we have the showrunner saying some pretty key things like,
if you haven't read Tim's press from season 9, episode 13, I suggest you go do that because he's
out of his cage and he's really excited.
Coming out of my cage.
You never do it just fine.
Okay. So anyway.
Wow, that was so millennial core.
I know. So unfortunate. But anyway, so we have another section we're going to tread into here. We're going to address some of your or fandom expectations versus the reality of the industry of network television. So I'm just going to be blunt with you. 911 is not a romance. It has never been a romance. It's never going to be a romance, which is why when people compare it to Heated Rivalry, you're so far off base because they are not similar in any way, shape, or form. Other than that, they appear on television
and have
but
characters.
It's not even the same. And it has characters who are queer. Like that's all they have in common, and they're incredible. There's that too,
they're both
and we
amazing.
love their showrunners.
Different mediums, though. Different mediums.
That's kind of where they compare. Different mediums. One is streaming. One is streaming on like
premium streamer.
Premium streaming, like basically Canada's HBO, and then HBO America and all the other countries have now picked it up. And it's short formats, 6 episodes,
limited series.
Oh, and it's based off of a book which has a finite, already finished story,
and it's a romance.
So it's not.
It's a happily
literally
ever after
a queer romance with yep, or at least happy for now because they're sequels.
Yeah.
So anyway, 911 is a procedural ensemble network drama about first responders, mostly firefighters, and Angela Bassett.
Yes.
who's a cop. So Tim's job is to tell that story and not really focus or build it around anyone's love story. The show was never, ever built to be a romance or built to be told around romance. Romance, when it appears, is only ever like built around the show. Yeah. Like it has to work itself naturally into the storyline.
He said as much about this in an article from the Washington Post as well.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing. He said that stuff in WAPO, which was stuff that we had been saying for weeks before he said that.
So the interviewer from the Washington Post said that when asked about Buddie as a romantic couple, Tim said, "It's a very difficult subject because I love the Buddie fans and I am one of them." Like, hello.
Just like
he's not subtle, and yet the fandom keeps dooming and we are screaming at them.
Literally, this is from his mouth. I love the Buddie fans and I am one of them, but it's not all of this is in quote. And, but like he said, he's making a procedural about first responders and romance will never be its central focus.
Yep.
Quote, "It's different than Heated Rivalry, where that is the show. The show is about those two guys getting together. That's not what this show is. This will probably piss people off." Or he said piss off people.
Things with that now.
I know, it's great. "This will probably piss off people, but whatever. This is what I think. I think the possibility of Buddie, in brackets, is what's exciting."
Yeah. Will they, won't they?
So will they, won't they?
Will they, won't they?
Exactly. Because like with Heated Rivalry, also there is no will they, won't they, because you know they're going to get together.
They will.
Well,
you know they will.
And also like, will they?
It's a matter of how.
Like, will they, won't they is distinct from queerbaiting. They are not the same thing. And I think that there's been a lot of conflating the two in fandom.
Yeah. Yes.
And as fandom old, it's very frustrating, especially we have all lived through some of the worst queerbaiting of all time. We have survived queerbaiting. We know the difference.
Supernatural.
It has a very specific definition.
Oh my God, Sherlock.
Yeah. Sherlock is the one that is always front of mind for me.
It's different. because queerbaiting specifically has no intention of following through on
it's
that.
Show creative,
they will.
Leaning into as a marketing tactic with no intention of following through and with often mocking of its own fan base.
Yes.
That is queerbaiting.
Yeah. Supernatural has done that a lot.
Yeah. Our fandom dad loves us.
Supergirl.
And loves Buddie. It's not the same.
Yeah.
No.
They've never once, Tim,
the actors,
Oliver, Ryan, anyone involved in the show has ever been derisive about Buddie.
Jennifer Love Hewitt is like
She's a Buddie warrior.
I see
She's a Buddie warrior. Like literally.
She's like, I think so too.
I think so too.
Like everyone involved in 911 is so like, if the story leads us there, sure, why not? They've never been like, you guys are crazy for thinking that, which has been.
And the most they literally can say, and this is about press, which I guess is kind of under the umbrella of like what network TV is allowed to do when they send their little
spoil anything,
their little showrunner and actors out to talk about the show. That is advertising and marketing. That isn't like journalism where you're gonna like deep dive behind what they're doing and find out what's next. That's not how that works. You have to watch the show to find out what's next.
Well, and an actor is never allowed to talk out of turn about what they think or they want. It's it's not their job. They have no control over that, first of all. Like they literally don't know what they're gonna write. They don't know before it happens.
Yeah. So like with interviews with actors from shows or showrunners or anything like that, they are acting as the mouthpiece for the network and the show. Like not just the show, but the network as well, because that's gonna garner clicks, gonna get it's that aspect of marketing. So they can't necessarily say a lot of like their personal opinions. I think the showrunner is a little bit of an exception here because he's making the story. So that's different. But like the actors that we see are always like, whatever they put in front of me sort of thing. And they can't say anything more or what they would necessarily want to see because
that's bad marketing.
It may not align with the story that is being told. And that would be bad marketing.
Yes. And that would be queerbaiting if they were like, it'll happen. It should happen. And then it doesn't. That's
Well, and
this is just very normal stuff, because you know who else gets asked these same questions? The actors from Straight Will They Won't They.
Yeah. And they also have to dance around the answer
the similar way.
You can't spoil
and
it.
It's like, but they don't have a fancy queer baiting word to throw around there. Here's the thing. Even if we assume, which I think the four of us do personally,
we're all in, never going to close.
That Tim wants to make Buddie happen. Or he's dying to make Buddie happen. Even if he's like frothing at the mouth to make it happen, he's not going to change the DNA of his show to do so. He's going to fit it in around the current structure in a way that serves the characters and the show itself over time.
Yes.
Because that is good storytelling, and he's a good storyteller.
Yep.
Like, he's not going to speed run this just because he wants
People
it to
are
happen.
clamoring. Yeah.
He's like, the exciting thing about it is the possibility. Like,
the will they, won't they?
Oliver the will they, won't
said
they.
similar with yearning.
Exactly. I want them to yearn. So
Yep.
it's like he's laying down these foundational pieces that you normally see in establishing a queer character and establishing a regular straight will they won't they romance. And instead of, not going to say everyone's coming at it in bad faith, but instead of like coming at it with like, hey, this is how this works, y'all are just like wanting
instant gratification,
expediency, instant gratification. And that's just not how storytelling in this genre and format works. It's story and character first, always.
Yeah.
And in the case of 911, like we said, romance has always been icing on the cake. It is not a main entree, and that will not change with Buddie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think it just does
the cherry on top.
Fans such a disservice. Like, if you're going into an episode where you can only be happy if you get Buddie, you're going to be consistently unhappy. And
I'll stop watching until they're canon then.
Like, accept what the show is and how it is approaching things. And we've been eating.
Enjoy the journey.
We've been it's been amazing. We got a little bit in season 7, but season 8 and season 9, we're eating. It's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, to a certain degree, this is also what fandom is for. Like, if you really want something in a specific way, fan fiction is a beautiful thing that exists.
Sure is.
Alongside our fandom. We can have both.
Yep.
We can have both.
Where you can explore.
Have our cake and eat
you can
it
have your
too,
cake and eat it too. And like Tim basically said it, that like he's making a procedural. He is not making a romance. And in addition to that, like we've talked about it, one of the strongest ensemble casts on television, like period. I mean, I think it is the strongest, just like the writing and the cast. Yep. And I think we've seen really expert storytelling in season 9, especially serving every single or multiple ensemble characters, especially this season. Like, it's kind of like you're always balancing things. So I feel like in season 8, we got a good number of like Buck and Maddie, and they're a little backseat, or they've been a little backseat in 9A. But so, I mean, Eddie Girl's eating. We have been feasting this season. Like, Eddie is getting some amazing storylines. We were starving. Chimney, his character development, coming into Captain.
So good.
Everything that, like, Hen getting more than one A plot, like, she hasn't had that kind of focus outside of family child foster drama in a while. Like, we are actually getting what we have been begging for, but with that comes balance. And then Tim talked about in his quote, Buck being like backseat and now bringing him, using 913 to bring him back forward. This is artful storytelling, and this is what you have to do on a long-running show, a procedural, balancing an ensemble cast. Like, can't be all Buddie all the time.
No. And I wouldn't even want it to be all Buddie all the time.
I love the show for all that it
all
is.
These characters.
I would die for every single one of them. Like, every single one of them. And I love the emergencies. Like, what I've loved so much in season 9 is we've had a return to like multiple tight, insane, funny, thrilling emergencies.
Yeah.
You know? And I want that too, alongside the other stuff. So
we want our cake and to
I
eat
want
it
it
too.
all.
That covers everybody.
I love the whole show.
Anyway, so stop dooming about Buddie because 9A focused on other characters. Please, I beg. You know, I get that fandom wants instant gratification, but the industry wants long-lasting viewership ratings and increases, or refresh with like new demographics, younger viewers, as older viewers and cord cutters churn Spinoff, which they can achieve by dragging out a will they, won't they of a very popular fanship.
Exactly.
And I mean, like, I know we already like talked about all that stuff, but like what they're doing with Buddie is so good right now, even though we haven't really truly started the will they, won't they, because no one has their feelings realization yet. But like, I love that we're getting to see all of it unfold, like getting to the will they, won't they. Like that's so smart and like, and it's gonna be groundbreaking. But I'm sure we'll talk more about that
we will
later.
Because it's not like been pre-baked in this will they, won't
No.
they. They've had to
work
their way up to it.
It was an organic will they, won't they, which does kind of exist. It's like the slow burn isn't
the slow burn of
here.
the slow burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, there's like runway, like takeoff runway. We're not at the airport yet. Like, but we're like in the parking lot.
But
we're
taxing.
Yeah. But I think we are at the point where the general audience is starting to catch on
100%.
to the, are they? So, and I think at that point when you're like, and you're squinting at it and trying to figure out what it is, I think that's
when you get the green light.
That's the start of the GA will they, won't they.
Yeah. Between the scoff okay and well, are you in love with him and all of 913.
All of
it's hard to miss. It's not subtle. That is my put it on a pillow.
You can't miss it.
There's like, I think there was like a screenshot of some Facebook comments I saw the other day, and it's just like guys like talking about Buck and Eddie. Okay, yeah, so there was like a screenshot floating around on Twitter from some Facebook comments, and it was like some guy who was like, I love what they're doing with Buck and Eddie, showing straight and bi men can be friends, and then that Eddie balances out Buck and Buck tries to protect Eddie, and then like it's a bunch of other men being like disagree entirely. They balance each other as a couple, or or my personal favorite, they will be dating soon. The creators confirmed it. Or like
so this is on Facebook. So
what Facebook is such a good barometer for GA. Like your mom is on Facebook, literally, you know?
What do you call Facebook?
Yeah. What do you like to call Facebook?
Me? Oh, old man Twitter? Old people Twitter?
Called out. Another thing that I think is just like what we want to express to fandom, of which we are a part, but like an understanding of kind of how network and studio conceives of you and perceives of us. We are us. And we've kind of talked about it a bit here, where like we're kind of in our fandom bubble and we're online and we experience the show in a very particular way. But like there's a much bigger, broader audience than just us. And in terms of like network, they're not really keeping tabs on fandom and what fandom wants. And they have to focus on the general audience and their base viewership and how things will affect that in a positive or a negative way. They can't be at the, like, it's not like jump how high at when fandom wants something. That's just not a realistic expectation of how TV works.
They're not scared of fandom with pitchforks. Like,
no. It's like a little ant to them.
Fandom with pitchforks does not affect their bottom line.
No.
It does not affect whether advertisers are going to partner up with them or not.
Yeah, like in all like truthfulness, fandom is the loud minority.
Yep.
And we love fandom. We love us, except when we're annoying. But like we're a part of fandom, but we're also like side-eyeing our brothers and sisters. And
we're being
family
self-critical
a little,
right?
We're being self-critical.
Or like several removed cousins over.
We're distant cousins from the doomers and pitchforkers. And I would like to say that the people who are in the comments saying bring Bobby back are adopted.
Yeah, like it's not going to accomplish anything. We love you, but stop. It's not going to do anything.
Exactly.
Well, especially like, as we've already discussed, like there are always going to be mitigating factors in how TV actually works. And there's something sacred about fandom spaces. Like, write a fic about it.
Yes.
With love. Write a fic about it. Write a Tumblr post. We love those.
Please write a fic about it. We would love
literally
to read the fic. We would love to read the meta.
Yes.
I think it's just like, and this is not necessarily like fandom at a large of any fandom's fault. It's just that fandom of old has been lost somewhere in the sauce.
We didn't break
I think
the fourth
it was
wall.
around COVID.
Yeah.
And I really think that fandom needs to get back to the roots of like just being here to have a good time and not being concerned with canon in order to ship your ships. Stop bothering the
Especially
actors
with
and
hate,
the creators,
please.
because it's like, it's not going to make what you want happen. It's just going to ensure that they don't interact with you, engage with you, which Tim literally is quoted saying.
Yeah, guys, like Tim had to step back from social media spaces because you made it weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like networks, as like the big network, like the capital N networks, they don't really engage in social media.
Yeah.
What you see as the engagement with social media from these shows are the individual shows from like their social media managers.
Yeah.
And it's all part of, so like individual shows have the social media presence, and that's all part of the marketing. And that's like that specific angle of marketing towards the people who are online, are on social media. But it's also on that aspect, like a wider umbrella than just people in the fandom spaces. Like, you know, your aunt who has an Instagram could also follow 911 on ABC. And she's not over here on like 911 Twitter, you know, in the trenches or anything.
They just see a pretty picture of an actor. They're not reading into conspiracy theories or
so like so
more likely your aunt is seeing it on Facebook.
Yeah.
On ABC does also have an
They're
account.
seeing a screenshot from Twitter on Facebook.
Maybe she's a cool aunt and she's on Instagram.
They do love ants.
I was using that as an example. Even in the individual shows like presence online, there is still like a wide umbrella here. And what they're doing, what the social media managers or these shows are doing, is marketing with the intention of garnering clicks and online engagement in order to get more people who are online, which are very often those younger audiences, into watching the show and gaining viewership or maintaining the viewership. It's all like part of a marketing ploy, but it has like no bearing on the effects of the storytelling. Like they're just looking for clicks. You know, so they do these like really fun things and get like the actors and stuff involved. That is for like the general online people. There's kind of like tiers, right? Where you have like Maslow's hierarchy, like the bottom and the biggest section of the pyramid is like the actual GA, the people who are watching on the network television. The one above that are like people who are online,
regular people who like things a normal amount,
and like may follow like the official 911 on ABC account, may follow like a couple of the actors on Instagram. And then like you have on the top of the pyramid, the smallest sections are like the fandom spaces. So the online, like the social media managers for individual shows are aiming at that,
managing all three,
but I think mostly that middle section.
Well, and something I cannot emphasize enough about the TV industry, those social media managers, people in marketing in general, they hire them and they pay them pretty well for the sole purpose so that they can funnel that stuff and filter that stuff. So the people on the very, very top, they don't have to know anything about it. And truly, people, especially in the upper echelons, they are so normcore. They are so buttoned up. They are your normal ass dad. In fact, it's probably not even any of our theoretical parents. I don't have a dad, but imagine I had a dad, because like we're fanish people and our parents presumably love us. So they learn to understand what the hell fandom is. Your TV dad, your TV corporate dad? No. He's like, what? I have had to,
like, our TV dad is Tim.
Yeah, well, that's true. Our TV dad is Tim, but like corporate daddy. I'm back into corporate daddy. Cringe.
No, but he's literally like the McDonald's CEO looking to eat his own food and going,
When I have interacted with higher up people, and when I like not directly interact, but like I attend town halls and stuff, like they're lovely people, but they are so painfully normal. Usually you're like
they're not dialed into like the fandom culture.
Fun, creative weirdos who we adore and love and relate to.
People who are in the creative sphere, who are normally on the creative some kind of spectrum of neurodivergency.
Yeah, they do not climb the corporate ladder usually. It's actually really refreshing when they do. Like, I think fondly there are certain like network heads that I've, again, not directly interacted with, but observed, where I can tell they're creative, neurodivergent, like queer weirdos, and like it reflects in how they make business decisions, and it's always nice. But inevitably, a usher in a new regime. It's like a guy you have to explain the Facebook to, even. You have to explain what a meme is. Like, I'm talking like literally it's your dad or your grandpa. They do not care.
My dad doesn't understand what a meme is. I've tried to explain it to him so many times.
And the thing that's weird to me,
he does not understand what a hashtag is. I've tried to explain it so many times.
I love that.
How old is your dad for
knows.
reference? Because my dad sends me memes
I love
constantly.
it.
Yeah.
But like,
I feel like,
but like, sorry.
okay. Oh,
Okay.
well,
My dad's 58.
my mom's 61, but she knows what a meme is.
She called it a meme. That's so cute.
It's because that's how they call it. They say it in Spanish. So they
Oh,
Oh,
I
they
love
call
it.
it a meme? That's adorable.
But no, it's just like I'm old school fandom. I know you guys are old school fandom. And I guess what blows my mind is like we used to have rules about not breaking the fourth wall, like basically not interacting.
Not bringing fandom stuff to the people involved in the show.
Mhm.
Because it's like never the twain shall meet because it gets messy.
Yeah.
And like the last thing you want is for them to like pass on judgment and spoil your enjoyment of a thing. So to my mind, it's best to keep these streams separate.
Yeah.
And it's great that we have like truly 911. What I love is that they are on the creative level production side, they are engaged. And like we said, like they are also for Buddie and they think we're creative and cool and weird, positive, but like corporate, they don't care. And they shouldn't care. It's better
they don't
that way.
understand.
They don't understand.
No.
They just see like weird parasocial obsessiveness about a thing that can't be changed.
They may not even see that
if they
honestly.
see it at all. Exactly. The social media manager's job is to not pass that along.
So all that to say that like on the show creatives end of it, like even if they are listening or reading stuff on social media, and even if they agree with fans on certain things, like they understand how network TV works. They are employed by it and all of the factors it plays. So it's not like they can do anything. They certainly can't say anything. Like they live and work in the reality of network television and the constraints that network television puts on creativity because television,
it's a business.
Even though it's a beautiful art form, at the end of the day, it's a modern capitalist business and it's American. So capitalism, baby. Like at the end of the day, it all comes down to like the dollar and they're beholden to it. Even the creatives who would love to just create for the fucking love of it. It's like, well, they do that and they do the best that they can, but they still have to answer to the almighty dollar.
Yeah. So the show creatives aren't concerned with fan service or telling the story the fans want to see. They're doing their craft with the intent, I want to say with the intent to tell
to kill their characters.
With the intent to tell good stories true to their characters.
Yeah. So in order to kind of get the loyal baked in audience of 911 to continue watching after they've made another very established, previously perceived as straight character queer with Eddie, they have to build it up in a way that makes sense to the audience, kind of like slow roll it. So it's easing them in. It's easing the audience in so it doesn't turn them away.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are you doing? I'm going to turn this off. You know, like what we were seeing with so much of like the Bobby death of it all. And everyone was like, I'm going to stop watching. They don't want that to happen with, you know, making
gay Eddie happen.
Yes. Thank you.
I know we mentioned it earlier, but I think it's basically, like they had to do more work with Eddie than they did with Buck because of his, personality, his ex-wife, his dating history. And I feel like if they did go in that direction that it was supposed to be Eddie, it definitely would not have been the right story to tell for him. It would just be, just
I think it would have backfired.
It would have been a misunderstanding of who Eddie is as a character. And what they're doing now is so beautifully interwoven and slow rolled that it, like in hindsight, well, currently, but also in hindsight, it will be like probably one of the best character storylines. Most nuanced storylines for any character ever.
It's going to kill.
He's about to be the queer character of all time.
All time.
Yeah. Which we'll talk a little bit more about later. So like in order to get the general audience on board for Buddie, they have to clue them in on what the fandom has picked up on for a long time. So the slow burn is not burning. It's not actually even on fire until the characters are both out. They have to both be out. So first gay Eddie and both aware of their feelings. So even if we have one feeling feeling realization and one queer character, and it's the same character, still not a slow burn. It still has to be, that's unrequited feelings. To have a slow burn, it has to be both of the characters aware of their feelings, and then it's a slow burn. So everyone's saying like, oh my God, it's been 8 years of a slow burn. Literally hasn't.
We haven't even started, baby.
Literally hasn't.
We're not even at the kindling stage yet.
Nope.
Like
we have the materials.
We're not even at the point where we can say where there's smoke.
As I said, we are in the parking lot of the airport. We're not even on the runway. You know, we're in the security line, but it's going to be so delicious when we really get going.
I was like, we're taxiing. She's like, no, we're sitting at the airport.
Well, you had to get to the airport.
We're at the TSA.
We had to pack it home. We're in the airport.
Jesus Christ.
Well, because like if the takeoff is the relationship happening, which means the slow burn doesn't start until you're on the plane. And so we're not taxiing, in fact. We are not on the same plane yet. We are in the parking lot at the airport. Yeah, we just pulled up to the airport.
Oh God.
Wow.
So many metaphors, so little time.
I love a mixed metaphor.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about like what network TV does well and how it's not streaming because they literally aren't the same thing. So we need to reframe maybe some of how people who aren't familiar with network TV view it as a whole.
So what network TV does well is character development, character work, growing relationships organically, getting you to be emotionally invested in them and their potential romances.
Exactly. And like, as we've been talking about, like with will they, won't they's and drawing out storylines, whereas with streaming isn't made with the same constraints or episode orders, you know, more episodes to fill, longer season arcs, written and filmed more or less in real time, where, you know, on 911, turnaround is usually like they're writing and finalizing and filming episodes 3 to 4 weeks before we see them on TV, sometimes an even shorter timeline. Streaming, they often, not always, but often will have...
It takes years.
They'll have an idea in mind ahead of time. Okay, this is going to be a 1 season limited series or a 2 season limited series or 3 seasons. Each season, we know that we're only going to 6 episodes per season. And so these are the finite stories. They plan everything ahead of time. They have an end game or they should have an end game in sight. In fairness, streaming series have also not done with the planning as they necessarily should.
Stranger Things.
But in general, it's rare to see a streaming series that has true longevity where they have to stretch out storylines and constantly keep the storyline and character arcs fresh. So that's just a differentiation point.
Yeah, it's almost like with everything being planned out ahead of time and taking literal years between seasons, if there are multiple seasons, it's more like they're making movies that are split up episodically than like an actual season of a show.
Yeah.
Which would be like the classic network TV.
Yeah.
So like streaming can make hyper sharp, really tight, compelling television, and network is just different. It does not operate in the same way. Neither is better, but they each has different strengths, each has different pros, and there are cons to those as well. It's like comparing apples and oranges that kind of like you can't.
Yeah. They're different beasts.
It's just different ways of storytelling. Yeah. And they're going to operate in different ways. Yeah.
A real strength of network television is especially like long-running procedural dramas is that there's a lot of room and time to serve an ensemble cast of characters over an extended period of time, more space to balance that. Fandoms are literally made off of this. Like the way you can really invest in a show that has the time to drip feed interesting character development over seasons, that gives you like a well-developed world. Again, over seasons, there's a reason we're so invested in this show. There's a reason that long-running shows have big fandoms. It's because there's so much more content, character work, and dare I say, actual continuity in network television than in streaming shows for some reason. Because I feel like sometimes with really successful streaming shows, they only plan for 1 or 2 seasons and then they get really successful and then they don't know the plan anymore. And the people who are making streaming aren't necessarily built to operate like the people who are built to operate like that. Because that's the nature of the game on network television.
And I feel like sometimes with streaming shows, especially, if it kind of blows up and gets really, really big, it's so inflated that sometimes the writers or the creators may kind of lose sight of like what made the show like really successful and like what touched the audience to garner such a response. And so they're kind of playing catch up and in essence end up creating like evolving the show into something that it was not, and that does not necessarily resonate with the audience that it originally had. Like, it may resonate with a different audience, it may resonate with no one, but like with network TV, I think there is that consistency where it's just like kind of, I want to say chugging along, but like not in a bad way, you know, just kind of like doing its thing.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely like a pro and a con, because I think the phenomenon you're describing is often, especially when they're a surprise hit, because I feel like network shows, especially because we've really drilled in, like, they have to reach a broad audience network, even though you obviously will have certain aims with certain shows, certain programs that have target audiences, but still they understand who they're for, advertisers, etc. With streaming, if you get a surprise hit, it was maybe made for a niche audience, but if it finds a bigger one, exactly, sometimes they find themselves having to then broaden a scope to appeal to these massive audience to keep them hooked in. Because I mean, there's pressure on both sides. In network, the pressure is like advertising and ratings. In streaming, it's engagement, like keeping them engaged, because they have all their algorithms that show how long they watch, and like keeping people subscribed to services for your shows. Like, it's different demands.
The streamers are the ones that want that online engagement in like Twitter, Instagram and stuff, because that's what drives their signups, that's what drives their subscriptions, as opposed, because there isn't as much ad revenue. I mean, depending on, you know, like which tier you subscribe, you know what I mean, right?
Now they all have ads.
But yeah, so like that's an inherent difference too. Like, the streamers are more concerned with like online presence and like online chatter and engagement. I think in that
everyone wants chatter. Like, it's kind of the water cooler moment, but yeah.
Okay, so this is our last section, which is just kind of, this is not speculation. This is just very much like the actual potential of the future possibilities of the buddy of it all.
I mean, first and foremost, getting gay Eddie. Getting gay Eddie is going to be it's going to be groundbreaking. He's going to be the queer character of all time. I mean, just with some of the stuff that we talked about, like in the last few minutes or several minutes, like just the fact that his journey has now like started, his journey to come out has now intentionally started since season 7. Like, there's intent to like telling the story like in its most truest way. It's just going to be, it's going to be so good. And I think 911 is really doing something that I don't think anyone has really done, unless you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think it has been done.
For like a late in life,
like
coming out with all of the stuff that Eddie's dealt with on a procedural. I don't think so.
Yeah, like think about it.
There has been, I will just really quickly give you I think there's 2 examples in my notes of not in the first season gay men. And that is literally just Justin Suarez from Ugly Betty.
Who was a teenager. Who was young.
Who was a teenager, but that wasn't the first season. And then we have Levi Schmidt, who was in his 20s. Like, he's an intern, so he's in his late 20s. But like, as Grey's Anatomy itself has said, he's from Grey's Anatomy. He's in the later seasons. They're basically just teenagers because they literally are just in school until they become interns. So those are the only 2 examples I think I have of gay men who are coming out after the first season of the show that they're on.
Yeah, but like, I think about it, like if Fox had told this story, right? Like if they had told this story, which at the end of the day, I don't think they would have, because it was Fox. And the character itself, like Eddie was ex-military.
He was representative of something on that network, you know?
Yeah. Like just already tied to the military. Like that already, like, that's why when people are like, oh, Eddie was like, you know, they were going to tell Eddie's story in season 5 or whatever. So it's not, I guess what I'm saying is like, it was not surprising that they shut it down and on Fox because of like some of the stuff that we talk about in terms of branding and all of that. So yeah, a guy who's ex-military has like a more like all male, like macho vibe. I guess he had a wife and he had a kid. It's like, it just doesn't feel like they were going to do it anyway at the end of the day. Having this just being done on ABC where it feels a lot more acceptable, and they're just letting Tim do what he wants.
Feels attainable.
It does feel attainable, and
it does.
And like I just said, it's going to be it's going to be a groundbreaking story that I think would reach a lot of people, and I think it's good representation for like late in life.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Well, and that he's Latino, that matters too.
Yes.
Yeah. And all the deconstructing he's been doing. I know that you've talked about that at length.
Yeah.
Unrepression.
Yeah. It's so important because he's like representative of like so many different like kinds of people.
It's also deeply millennial. Like, I love you, Eddie Diaz.
Yeah. There's a reason why like I'm so tied to this particular character. There's like so many things in Eddie Diaz that I like things that I feel like I've gone through, and like it goes in so many levels, like culture, you know, sexuality. There's just so much about Eddie Diaz that I'm just like, I don't know, like having this character of all time, like being able to see that represented on TV and just like be like, oh wow, like I feel like I'm going through, or just seeing someone like go to like we're going towards the light at the end of the tunnel is basically what I'm trying to say. So I think
it has such potential to be not only one of the most nuanced queer characters on television, but one of the most broad-reaching and touching, impactful because it's late in life. Whatever flavor of queer they make him, it's still late in life, and he had this certain kind of upbringing, and he's working these very macho careers, and he has the Catholic guilt, and it's the Latino of it all. But it's also the fact that I think so many men are going to see themselves in him, and not just men, women too. Anyone who suffered from comp het, this is huge.
Comp het, repression, religious trauma.
This is fucking huge for the comp het, and that's never really a storyline that I think that has been explored in a character that has come out that like the audience can really understand.
By slow rolling it, they've allowed for those nuances in a way
for people listening who don't know, comp het is compulsory heterosexuality, and it's kind of something that queer people can suffer from and not realize that they're gay because of the expectations of the patriarchy and how everyone should be. This
is just what you do.
Well, it's the default sexuality setting is straight. So it's like if you're not like brought up and you immediately realize you're whatever flavor of queer, then you must be straight. And then that can really fuck with your head. So I think this could just be groundbreaking in ways no other character has been, for people to like really see themselves in a character in a way that they haven't before, because of the way that they're slow rolling it and going to have him realize it.
And I think it's also kind of important to look at how 911 has kind of done this before, but different. When you look at Michael, Athena's husband, in season 1. Now, granted, that was season 1, but ostensibly that was also it's precedence. It's someone who comes out later in life. Like he knew that about himself earlier on, but he came out later in life. He was married. He had kids, very similar to Eddie. However, this was in the pilot episode. So like we didn't get to sit with Michael in these kind of realizations in this journey of him either realizing this about himself or coming to the conclusion that it was the time for him to come out. So like technically you could say like 911 has done something like with Eddie similarly with Michael, but we haven't been along for that whole journey like we have with Eddie. And I think that is really, really remarkable because we've grown along with him, whether that's in a short time, if you're just like hopping onto the show like more recently in recent years, or if you've been like a long time watcher, you end up going through that journey with Eddie. And that is, I think, really, really significant because we haven't seen that before.
Yeah. And I think if anything, like the reaction that I had to watching Buy Buck with no connection to that character, and that's what made me want to watch the show, and how moving it was. Like I literally knew nothing about Buck. I watched the scene where after kissing Tommy, Tommy is like, "Are you free on Saturday or whatever?" And he's like blinking, like kind of having a realization. He's like, "Yeah, I'm free." I literally burst into tears. I knew nothing about this character. So if that can can be that moving, like imagine how moving Eddie's story is going to be for people. Is your contact fucked up?
No, I'm actually in tears.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because of what you said?
Yeah,
Or what
no,
we
I think
said, or what all
I
of us
triggered
said?
myself.
Aww.
You see?
Eddie's just important. Eddie is one of the most important characters of all time.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like, that seems like an overestimation, but like I think it actually
you ever
is.
think about like what if Dean Winchester actually like
this would have been the conversation for Dean.
I mean, the way that it can challenge masculinity and comment on compet and like I know that they're unlikely to do demisexuality on a network procedural, but like I still feel like
I
headcanon.
think they could take the way in which it'll be so non-specific that you can apply whatever you want.
Because I feel
like that's what we're gonna get.
Like a little still open to interpretation in like what specific flavor of queer.
He feels groundbreaking,
which
in
is
that
what
way,
they did for Cass
even if
too.
it's not canon. You know, he's such a complex character.
Yeah.
We continue to say this. Eddie Diaz is one of the most fascinating, complex, nuanced characters that has been written.
Yeah.
And I think to Syl's point of like, would this have been how groundbreaking by Dean would have been? Yes, but I think Eddie has the potential to be so much more groundbreaking because he is Mexican American.
Yes,
Like, I feel like there's so many more stigmas that they have to face in that community, which obviously, like, I'm not really
it's
one to be able to speak on it really, but I know that people like our listeners who spoke to us about the representation on Dia de los Muertos, like how important this will be to them specifically or to any Latino queer people. So it really just it has the potential to be one of the most moving like storylines on television ever.
Yeah.
But to look at it from a network television point of view, from the people with the money, the amount of ROI they would get of the influx of new people watching this show. Like,
just look at what happened with Buy Buck.
Well,
where you saw that huge spike.
You're going to get the queer Latino community. That's a lot of people.
Who haven't seen themselves necessarily represented in this way before. I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but you know.
I mean, there's queer Latino characters, but not many
not like
male ones, and definitely no later in life ones. Who have this specific set of just characteristics and upbringing that like people are going to be able to relate to on a way they've never been able to relate to a character. So it's just like moving, incredible storytelling that the creatives are doing so well, laying this foundation and slow rolling the story for Eddie in a way that works for him and for the general audience to pick up on it. But then like once it happens, the boom in viewership they're about to get is gonna make the network so fucking happy. They're gonna be like, yeah, do whatever you want.
I mean, the awards that they'll win too.
Exactly. Which I guess if we're ready to move on to the next point.
Yes.
Leads us into obviously the record-breaking potential of Canon Buddie, because it's like, yes,
it's never been done before.
We'll be breaking records and breaking ground with Gay Eddie, but taking too late in life realized 7+ seasons into a show characters who have been shown like will they won't theying, like co-parenting, like in a like Luke and Lorelai almost kind of way. I have so many Luke and Lorelai parallels for them in my head because so like good. Luke kind of like co-parented Rory in the same way that like Buck does. But the potential for them to blow up once they get together is going to be, I feel, and I don't feel like I'm overstating this, heated rivalry levels for getting queer people to watch.
Yeah. I think if it's canon, like it'll be groundbreaking, unprecedented, and I think it'll pull in a whole new vector of audience. Especially the younger audience that coveted, we need them to develop a TV watching habit audience. And that's really the holy grail right now in the industry. How do you create a TV watching habit, scripted, long form TV watching habit in younger people? And that's the magic thing everyone wants to solve, because that's how you sign checks for the next 50 years. So the TV doesn't die.
And I think we have to say, just caveat, and sorry, Rachel, really quick. Yes, it will be groundbreaking, but it's the fact, and yes, will skyrocket viewership, but they have to do it in a way where they don't lose any of the current viewership. So that's why what we're doing right now is normal, smart stuff.
It has to be well written,
rolling,
like, and done the right way. Like, I know Fandom says they want it, but I was like, you don't want this to be hastily done. It's not going to be satisfying. We've seen will they, won't they's where they do hasty payoff and then it's not satisfying.
It's terrible.
And actually people then will stop watching.
That's why I stopped watching Bones.
Yeah. I
hated how they got them together. I'm sorry.
I petered
hated
out
how
on,
they got them together. And then I was like, oh, they're going to actually destroy this relationship.
I petered out on
too.
Castle
like,
and Bones
put them through it.
in the later seasons, even though I love both of those shows. And I've petered out on rewatches of both of those shows.
Yeah.
But to go back to speaking to like the record breaking potential of Canon Buddie, like as a ship, especially in fandom spaces, and especially for people in fandoms who have had ships that never go canon, like Buddie would also be kind of historical in this way as well.
Yes.
Because like, can you count the number of fandom ships from like huge fandoms that have gone canon in a satisfying, well-written way? And
queer ones?
Queer is the thing.
Yes.
None. Literally none.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like, and I mean, I would say like 911 is a pretty big fandom, like online fandom right now, right?
Yeah.
So like,
but it's gonna explode.
Here's the thing.
But it would. Here's the potential overlap of the people from other fandoms who are about to, if they go canon, or even after Eddie goes gay, and it's like, oh, it looks like this is gonna happen, are gonna come over here.
Yeah.
We're gonna get the Destiel, the Dean Cash shippers. We're going to get the Stucky shippers. We're going to get the Sherlock people.
100%. Oh, yeah. All the people
who
have
get
been
the Merlin
burned.
people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is what I was saying. Like, how many times have large fandoms had a queer ship that has just like
Hannibal.
not happened? And
all the Fannables.
Hannibal.
that's
the Fannables will
huge.
come.
Supergirl.
Supergirl.
Supergirl, yeah.
Merlin.
Oh yeah.
We mentioned Merlin earlier.
Merlin.
I said Merlin, but yeah.
So many fandoms, guys.
So I think what we're kind of looking at here is, and I think this is something that the three of us said like very, very early on into watching where we were like, this actually has, like, Buddie actually has potential to go canon in a very real way. And that kind of floored us a little bit with that realization, because
I was like, wait, what? Because I heard her tell rumor of it and I was like, okay. And I kept watching because I knew about By Buck already. That is what I was like.
Yeah. Well, that's what got us.
I told all my friends, guys, there might be a show, a fandom where it's going to happen. I have to be there for it.
Yeah, I think that's what we said, I think.
You like the Christmas elf thing. I got to that. I was like, what the hell just happened on my screen? Like, I feel like I'm insane sometimes watching this show. Like 913.
No, we all do.
We're having the same beautiful delusion that is not a delusion because it's real.
Yeah.
I need fandom to lock in.
Yeah. I mean, I think now in 913, they are starting to lock in, but like, I really don't think it should have taken them that long to lock in. I think season 7 would have been the one to really, I don't know, the interviews. I think I don't remember if I said this or I texted this. I don't know, but I was like, the season 7 interviews now, especially in hindsight, like that should have been like your clue in to keep watching, stop dooming.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
Which is what we read before we even started, like as we were starting to watch things in the fandom as a whole. We were reading these season 7 interviews. So it's like, well, first of all, actually read the interviews and read them in good faith. Like don't read them looking
weird
for
cherry
queerbaiting.
picking
Don't read
that
them.
I see sometimes, and reading comprehension fails and bad faith.
Like just
readings.
read it after you watch the special and you keep in mind what they're actually allowed to say, and then look at the actual just like straight up statements and what the meaning of those could possibly be while talking about a network television show.
And I'm like, I don't know why people focus too much. Again, it's like the nitpicky. So like, I don't know why you guys focus. So you guys. general you. I don't know. Yes. I don't know why we're focusing too much on the details and how it applies to a current moment. I think it's like, think about it. And this is why I say I'm on the observation deck. I look at bigger picture. I look at where we're starting and where we're ending. Not like, yes, the journey to get there is like important. Details are important. Yes. But like sometimes you get lost in those details and then you're just going in different directions or you're going in circles. But I think bigger picture wise, this is happening.
Yeah. Which is exactly why this would be so significant to like in the history of fandom TM, like capital F fandom as in like all encompassing, because there has not been a queer ship that has been realized in canon while the show is going and continues to go on. We're not talking about like the last episode sort of thing.
We're not talking about Korosami.
Exactly. Oh my God, bringing Avatar into it. So it's like, so sorry, I'm trying to like, I'm trying to like summarize this point, which is a very like big like concept, which is like just, this has never been done before in a way that is respectful of the people who are watching the show and in the fandoms and are shipping this ship before they were even queer. And the fact that like we already have one half of the equation with Buck, and that's what that, and all of the stuff from the season 7 interviews, like all like that interview from Lou that was saying it was supposed to be Eddie first, like that. How is that not saying like it's coming down the line? We just have
intention. Yes,
that's the intention. They're just building the foundation, and they're building the foundation so well that it won't crack under the pressure that it will inevitably get with all of the eyes on it.
Yes, so that they can maintain the audience and maintain the new audience. Like it has to be done so well on so many levels, and they're doing it.
Has to be unassailable.
But we need everyone to pay attention. So now that you're paying attention after 9/13 and you're paying attention, you're actually reading the interviews, and hopefully you're listening to the special. I need us all to lock in. And I need us to be realistic about the timeline of things, because we discussed that at length in this episode. So I love a hee hee ha ha gay Eddie every week as much as the next girl, they, them. But
in like good humor, not like a ride or die. Like if it doesn't happen.
But like you got to do it in a way where it's like when it doesn't inevitably happen every week, you don't go, well, it's never going to happen. Like
the dooming cycles are not healthy. Emotionally, mentally, etc.
No, and it's making fandom not fun. Fandom's supposed to be fun.
I've had to leave a lot of spaces because I just can't with that. I talk to you guys at all times, basically.
Yeah.
You're my safe space, my happy safe space.
Your lifeline?
You are my lifeline. What a perfect word. I wonder where you got it.
And in case you somehow are listening to this episode and you don't really go here, or you haven't listened to the other episode before this where we talk about it, or the live stream or anything, there's also
the elephant in the room.
I think we talked about this interview with TV Line earlier, where Tim is being asked directly about Buddie by Andy Swift, and he's like, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, I kind of thought that this was never going to happen, and then when I saw the details of this episode 9/13, I was like, oh, they're finally doing it. And then Tim starts talking about like a fan theory that was, I'm sure, sent to him or that he heard on our podcast, because wait for it. The next question, Andy asks, oh, so you're aware of how deep this goes, like as in online. Like fandom, and theorizing online, right? And Tim, again paraphrasing, says, I don't really look at social media anymore. I haven't for over a year or so, but there is this podcast that I watch occasionally. I feel like I am quoting this almost verbatim because I've read it so many times. And they're called the Buddie System, and it's these 3 women, and they're so great. These are the exact words.
It is burned in your brain.
I know. And you can tell that they're fans of the show. So I can go there and like not hear my name cursed. So, and then he finishes that off by saying,
that's one of my lifelines.
That's one of my lifelines. And then he says also, like, sometimes people send him things and he'll watch those, but like he doesn't seek out fan content or theories anymore. anymore. Apparently just our podcast. So I ask you, listener, watcher, if you were a showrunner and you were being asked about Buddie and you were trying to shut Buddie down, why would you say I listen or watch the Buddie System podcast?
That keeps saying Buddie is going to happen and we will never close.
With all of that being said, I think just to conclude this episode is basically like, in conclusion,
Buddie Canon.
In conclusion, Buddie Canon.
In conclusion, patience. Everyone who works on 911 loves working on 911. They have very little turnover. It is a very happy, stable production. And that is not always the case in TV. Like we are so, they're fortunate. They love where they work. We are fortunate. Like this is all in the best possible hands. It's a demanding work environment, but the low turnover is a very clear signal to me. Everyone likes working
and I think
there.
that's a big reason. I think that's a big reason why so many of the main characters from the beginning are still there.
Yeah,
they like working with each other,
and why people want to stay there, and why people go on record saying, "I would love to have 20 seasons," because it's a great. Like everyone loves job stability, but it's like it's a good work environment.
It's a great place
so of
to
course
work.
you want to come to a place with people that you like to work with and have a good time, and you feel respected.
And that's the best possible environment for something like what we're talking about, for these, complex storylines and groundbreaking TV moments. And just generally, anytime you have couples getting together, or, people playing romances, you want them all to like each other and you want them to continue to like each other, and they all like each other.
Yeah.
Yep. That's great.
Stop dooming.
In conclusion, for real though, like how network procedurals work is important because guess what? We're watching a network procedural and you can't take that out of the equation of the ship. You just can't. You can, but you'd have to do it on AO3, which is perfectly fine.
Do it.
But your expectations for a fic on AO3 are not realistic.
And yet, that said, the gifts we have been given multiple times in season 8 and season 9, especially straight from AO3, we have been gifted things. I'm so happy.
We're not saying straight AO3 as in we're accusing them of reading fan fiction. We're saying
like we've gotten moments that feel like
know their own show.
We've gotten moments that feel like the best fic you've ever read, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
But also fic is its own thing that can do its own things.
Yeah. But like equating the show to like the best fic you've ever read, that's just good storytelling. That's just really good storytelling. Keeps you engaged, keeps you coming back for more. Every episode is a new chapter. And
new material to bounce off of. And fandom and fanfic is pattern recognition. Like you're picking up what they're putting down, but they did put it down. Like, we're having a conversation.
So basically, like with all of that information of that we've kind of set in front of you of like how network procedurals work, how things kind of operate, like this is like the thesis to our statement of like why Buddie is not being speedrun, no matter how much fandom wants it right now. Like they're working within the constraints of the network. They are working within the framework of the show, which is a procedural. They are working with really good character-driven stories to then propel this gay or queer Eddie canon buddy sort of thing.
And also, like, I don't think we can forget, like, we talked about it before, like, we've come a long way, but we still live in a complex world where things aren't perfect. There are a lot of mitigating circumstances, and I guarantee you, I mean, some of this I do know, but can't directly talk about, but like, a lot of shows have wanted to do something like this before, and they couldn't do it. That those powers that be, like,
they weren't allowed
to do it. We have corroboration that it happened at least once on our show. It's tricky, and we have to trust the process because they're trying. We live in strange times. How do I
all times are strange.
All times are strange, but like we don't, live in a perfect world, and we're just taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, one episode at a time. And like the slow roll is the safe roll. We're on our way. We're trying. When the moment comes, they'll be ready. I think that's the best way to put it. When the moment comes, the show will be in the perfect position to do it.
When the natural times present themselves in the storyline for it to happen,
we'll pull the trigger.
We're firm believers. We're firm believers based on everything we know about network television and this show, which is a lot. it'll happen, but it's like we don't know the timeline, and we don't think the timeline is anywhere close to what fandom thinks the timeline should be.
Yeah, exactly.
All of that to say that our captain of the ship, I guess, Timothy Minear, the showrunner, right? He has been working in the industry since 1995 on network television.
His career is the same age as so many people who watch the show.
It's older.
It's older than some people who watch the show.
All of this to say that he has a long, successful career in network television, and he understands how network television works. So much so that the show that he runs got saved, brought over to a new network where he was given creative freedom to do something that was previously turned down.
And now it's thriving.
Creative franchise, spin-offs. Like it's
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much just like, we really trust him in this house. We have an episode where we go, we want to trust you, but we don't know if we can. But other than that, it's been pretty consistent.
Yeah. That's our Bobby Nash.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with Buddy. It just had to do with like, hey, what are we doing?
Yeah.
As we've said a million times since then, the show has proven with every episode in season 9 that they know exactly what direction they're taking things. And
there's a long game.
They're doing such good storytelling. Like the trust is kind of limitless as long as they keep giving us good television.
Yeah. Yep. Because we're along for the ride wherever it takes us. And because we know wherever the story takes us is going to be good.
And driven by the characters as well. Like I trust them with these characters.
They understand the characters, and you can tell they love the characters.
And the actors too.
Both the creators and the actors.
Yes. That's so important.
Yeah.
And that's why so much care is being taken into consideration for Buck and Eddie and them as Buddy together. So we'll get there. It'll take a while.
Yeah.
It'll take a little bit, but like that journey, again, it's like, it's a little bit about the destination, but it's also very much about the journey.
Yeah.
It's very literally what did they say in 913? It was, so we could have just waited for a plane, Eddie says when he finds out that Chimney didn't communicate with Karen and they shouldn't have thrown a surprise party because
she's not there.
Neither of them, or the birthday girl isn't there. And
Athena says,
then you wouldn't have gotten to enjoy
the country.
Yeah.
So like the view, the back roads.
Tim's taking the scenic route.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is the smartest play on network TV.
Yep. The end.
Remember, don't ship characters on network television.
But if you do,
take a buddy with you.
Thank you for listening to the Buddy System Podcast.
Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to our Discord community, full reaction videos, and even more exclusive content.
And if you really want to make our day, leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Please come yap with us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddie System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Catch you next time. And don't forget, bring a buddy with you.